Call to order. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the law. Please rise for our flag salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lisa, can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Kriebel?
Here.
Commissioner Landgraf?
Here.
Mayor Holtzman?
Here. Okay. Just to give the audience and the residents and visitors here an idea, what we're doing tonight is we have our department heads at our first meeting every month, and they get up and they give us an overview of what's going on in their departments. Then we have our workshop, and that's when we discuss the items that we will vote on in the meeting. But before we do that, we have a presentation. And I am going to ask for the coaches to join Commissioner Kriebel, Commissioner Landgraf, and myself when we present the awards, because they're the coaches, and they should have that honor as well. It's the Atlantic City Boys Crew Lightweight 4. Just a little story, oh, okay, they're late. They weren't late for the race, right? They're all here. Where are the young men? Can they stand up for me? They're the young men.
Guess which one's the cox?
No. I just want to...
Guess which one? That was something I would have said. That was beautiful.
I just want to share, I want to share something with all 5 of you. There's 5, am I correct? Okay. Now, I know Nick knows the story because he had to hear me and his mother relayed it, but I don't know if the other parents will remember it, and it's a short, but it's something that I have to share with you. When Ikis Bloom, Mrs. Bloom, sent me the text that you won, and she said you only were rowing together for 2 weeks. Am I correct? Yes. Yes? And the first thing I thought about was 1980 Winter Olympics, the United States hockey team. If anybody remembers that, you guys of course do not because you weren't born, but if the people in the audience remember, it was the biggest upset in the Olympic history because Russia had won, 28 years. And the athletes that came out of Russia, the hockey athletes, they were like our pros. The United States hockey team were a bunch of college kids from around the country that didn't know each other, didn't play together. The bottom line was they worked as a real team. There was a movie put out, and there is a short movie that they use in training sessions in companies and corporations. And it's called Do You Believe in Miracles? And basically, if you work as a team, this is what happens. You can YouTube it, young men. Do you believe in miracles? If you look at the last few minutes of that hockey game, and to know a little bit of history right now, that there were a bunch of college boys from around our country and beat Russia, that those guys were pros. So you did the same thing. So I had to share that with you, whether you wanted to hear it or not, because when Miss Bloom texted me, I sent her the YouTube video, and as soon as she said you only rowed for 2 weeks, it took me back to 1980, because I, of course, was old enough to watch that hockey game. So, now Commissioner Kriebel is from what I hear, I don't know, is a wonderful rower. So I'm going to let him talk a little bit, and then Commissioner Landgraf, I know his son was involved in crew, and I'm sure they have a few words. And then we, the commission, wanted to award you because you won 3 championships, am I correct? Yes. And it's on your certificates, and that is basically a wow, wow, wow. God bless you, really. You should be proud.
So I also was back and forth texting Mrs. Bloom about this, because I was personally very excited for you. Not only are you, are you, what really excited me was your 4 guys, all Ventnor residents. And I know, I can look through the audience, I can see friends from high school and others that know that there's just a certain feeling when the boat clicks. And you guys had that. And the first, when you're trying, during the flicks, when you're trying to put boats together and you find out what works and you felt that it clicked, and then not just to win, was it the cities, right? But went on to do that 2 other times is something something remarkable. And it's a race that only lasts barely over 5 minutes, but if you've ever done it, you know it takes, in your mind, the clock stops, and it's about a half an hour in your head is what it feels like. And when you pass that last wire on the island with your rowing in Philly, you know you can count on the other guys in the boat. And the coxswain. The coxswains are such a huge part, can win a race for you. So you guys have got a great season, and my credit to you.
Miss Monero was also texting me, but she got a pink slip because Miss Bloom beat her to it. But they were so excited, and I was excited too.
It's great that these young men from Ventnor did so well. The races that you won were huge races for you. Got to see a lot of those races when Evan rode for Spirit, and that's an exciting, to stand at that finish line and watch these kids come across is, for the parents, you're in knots. You're absolutely in knots. So it's great to see you guys do that, and it is the ultimate team sport. I never had the ability or even the opportunity to row, but it is the ultimate team sport. You guys are part of that boat. You move as one through the water. I never got to understand what's it called, Tim? Something about the puddles. You're passing through.
Spacing?
Clearing your puddles.
Clearing your puddles, spacing.
Until I stood on the Strawberry Mansion Bridge and watched Stokes one year, the time trials. You can see what that means. It means your whole boat's moving its entire length before you put the oar back in the water. And it's amazing to watch you guys do that. We have 2 rowers here that are professionals, Mr. McGuire, both from Holy Spirit, and Ed Stinson, both rowed did very well for themselves with that. So it can lead to things is the reason for me that I'm pushing that on. I'm sorry?
Did we when Spirit with the Henley?
Yes. I didn't want to get into that part of it, but.
Oh, okay.
But what I want to show you is where this sport can lead you, young gentlemen. It creates opportunities for you in the next level of education within your high school, within scholarships, and beyond that. Your coaches will tell you that. Joe will tell you that. He's seen it. Kids he's coached and Coach Kress have coached, they go on to great things, and there's 2 examples sitting right in our room here. So I applaud you and wish you the best of luck.
I'm gonna read. I'm going to read what the certificate says, and then we're going to have Coach Kress and Mazzaro, am I correct? Come up in front of the dais, and then we'll call, and then you 5 gentlemen will come up and we'll give you your certificates. Your parents can take pictures, whatever you want to do, okay? All right. So it's a certificate of achievement, and it's presented to each one of you of the Atlantic City High School Boys Lightweight 4 boat for placing first in their division at the following championships: Garden State Championship, Philadelphia City Championship, and the Atlantic County High School Championship. Ventnor City Board of Commissioners, and my name and the commissioner's name are on here. They are sealed with our gold seal, and we hope that you appreciate getting acknowledged, because we appreciate having you part of Ventnor. So can the coaches and the guys come up? They're Mr. Kress, Mr. Mazzara. Mazzara. Make it. How are you? Nice to meet you. My name's Beth. Will you give this to Coach? Absolutely. Thank you. You want to say, please, your name? Sign the, we'll give it.
Yogi Park, please come on. Nicholas Bloom. Santiago Alzi.
Congratulations.
And Trent Manera.
And I have to do this one.
You can count on this side, get his face. Good job.
Ray, want to get a picture with Coach and let's, I got a word. Two of you and the coach on this side. I'll just stand there, Nick, and look short. Can you get us all, Tim? Can you get us all? Squeeze in. Squeeze in. Cheese. This way. Okay, now let's just do the young man with the coach. I didn't want to say boys. Why don't you get in the middle? Yeah, I have to, you gotta space out. You've been wrong. There, neck, move it a little bit. You guys have the same shirt on? Or am I crazy? Oh my God.
Oh, they call each other.
Get a little closer. Act like you're on the boat. Smile.
So much.
Anything else? Do any of the parents want to shop? You got it? Everybody's good? Okay, congratulations.
All right, give them a minute to clear out. Let's go. You want to stop your longer, really? Exactly. That's what you just goes all my time.
He's good looking.
No, you didn't. You gave me the look. You gave me the. All right. If you want to leave, you can leave. If not talk, let's go. What, we have to listen? I must stay. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to do my thing.
Right here, I got it, though.
Why does Brady get to go first? And then he gets to leave?
Bill's gonna go first.
Okay. Now we will go into our department head portion of the meeting. First up will be Bill Crothers, our tax assessor.
Okay. You are going so out of order.
No, I had to.
How we doing tonight?
Good, Bill.
Good, Bill, how are you?
Hey, Bill.
Hey.
I love it.
We finished up our tax appeals on Thursday. I still don't have all those judgments. I know we did pretty well. A lot of the people that showed up, they didn't really have much
Bill, try and
evidence.
speak into the.
I'm sorry. I think we did pretty well at the tax appeals. 2016, the dollar amount of assessed value loss was about 56 million. Last year was 4 million, and this year should be less than that. So you can see how well the revow really did help.
Say
Because
56 million
56 of assessed value
of assessed value,
In 16.
16,
in 16.
down to
About 4.
4, right?
in 17, and hopefully it'll be a little less this year.
Less this year.
Great.
Wonderful.
And I'm still working on the Addis, and as you know, there's a lot of building going on, so
Yes.
I've been going out as much as I possibly can. I got a lot of sunscreen.
Great.
Great, a lot of sunscreen, yeah.
Yeah, good. Sounds good.
You guys have any questions?
No, I think we're good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's a good start, isn't it?
That's a good start.
That's a good start. Very cool.
Next will be Brady Middlesworth. He's our deputy chief of our fire department.
How are you doing today?
We're good. How are you?
Doing great. I have a report from May, which is here May, because Mike wasn't here for May. I'll give you a brief on May. For the month of April, the fire department responded to 254 calls, 86 for emergency service, 145 EMS, and 23 fire alarms, including a third alarm fire at 906 Cornwall and a second alarm fire at 5800 Balfour Avenue. Between those two fires, we got mutual aid from Brigantine, Longport, Margate, Pleasantville, Atlantic City, Atlantic County Fire Coordinator, and OEM staff. 27 of 45 total BCFD staff were there, and had 31 and 55 personnel operating those fires. In the month of May, we responded to 279 calls for emergency service, 97 emergency service calls, 148 EMS responses, and 34 fire alarms. It's 138 calls for the year above where we were June 1st of 2017. We provided mutual aid to Atlantic City on 4 occasions this past month. Some information about budgeted operational and capital expenses. We received our PPE, gloves, boots, and miscellaneous personal safety gear that was ordered from Capital Bonding 2017-041. We're now compliant with POSHA and FPA standards. Spring summer uniforms have been purchased with a savings of $650 utilizing the state contract pricing and competitive bids. In training, we've had 4 fire department members graduate fire inspector school just now.
Wonderful.
3 have completed fire instructor level 1 and 2 more fire instructor level 2. The last 5 of us have completed firefighter 2 training, and now our department's 100% compliant with level 2, firefighter level 2 training. One of the only departments in the state that has all our members firefighter 2 training.
Why'd you say that lower? You should say that really loud.
One of the only. 3 members have completed training at the National Fire Academy to fill required administrative positions, and we have water rescue and CPR recertification scheduled for June. There's a couple capital projects we have going on. The largest is Station 2. It's in the design, is in progress and within projected planning time frame. We have received a pre-approval for a USDA low-interest 40-year loan to aid the funding, and we're working with Jim and Tella to find other grant options available for the program as well, or for the project, excuse me. Station 2 relocation options are being explored, and the site plan will be determined by the middle of next month, I think. And lastly, there's a joint GIS, which is a Geographic Information System program with the Atlantic County Regional Development Team, is assisting in the development of a fire hydrant location information program, a cloud-based computer pre-plan system, and water main and valve location mapping system. This is going to come at little or no cost to the city, and could save the city up to $25,000 in record management costs.
Great.
That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
I'd just like to mention that besides the department being in compliant with everything and the training, that I have to give you and Chief Cahill kudos, because I'm a numbers person, and you have come under budget with just about everything that was purchased. And I know that takes time, and that's sitting behind the desk doing things that you probably would rather not be doing, but your efforts are noticed.
No, it's all Chief Cahill, nothing to do.
Okay, well then, kudos to Chief Cahill, because besides our department being run, to me, wonderful, at the same time, you're watching how the taxpayers' money's being spent, so kudos.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to add to that. I was at both those fires, and that's why we have a fully staffed fire department. They get the work done. They did it, no injuries. Absolutely incredible work they did watching them. They did it twice in 1 week, which is unheard of with us, so kudos.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment, not necessarily a question, but a comment. When they get to that GIS mapping, make sure we loop in Ernie and Ed. Is that
Yeah.
good? Wanted to make sure, good. Because the county's got a great GIS system. Matt Duffy's the officer there. He does a great job. So, thank you.
I heard you. Thank you. Next is Jim Pakinowski. Jim is our Information Technology Department Head.
Good evening once again. A few things just to keep on reviewing. First on our time card system. Met with Maria and Beth tonight to go over a few ideas and plans, and basically we just got to start using it. Even if we're not able to integrate it entirely with the admin system, we need to get people using the system that we paid for, and getting used to punching in and out using that system, eliminate the archaic time cards, and use those reports. So hopefully, in the very near future, we'll be getting a game plan as to getting everybody enrolled and ready to roll into that. The SDL, the Code Enforcement Program, I'm happy to say as of June 1st, we went live on the construction portion, and Jimmy's not here, but from talking to the gentleman from Jack from SDL, he said he has never seen a group of people in there that transitioned so smoothly to the program. So it's really good to them. So we have the construction portion that we're live on right now. We will be training at the end of this month on the zoning and inspection portion of it to go live at the beginning of July with that portion. Once we get all of the kinks out on that, and also tomorrow Pam and Jim Goss will get their tablets so they can start going out and being able to look up their inspections and all of their stuff out in the field. Once they're comfortable with that, I'll then give them the wireless printers, and they'll be able to give out violations and all their certificates and everything right out in the field to
Wonderful.
people there.
Wow, that's great.
The next step right after that, once we're totally smooth and everything, is there is a customer portal, so that people who come and get permits, builders and everything can look online themselves without having to come in. They can go and check the status of all of their stuff directly. That's why we went partially with this program, so that now gives the public a little bit of input and be able to see everything. So that's the next step once we get all of the portions rolling. Now once those are rolling, now I can start spending some time on the Public Works program and starting to get that going. That's probably still about 4 to 6 months out for full implementation. Now I have some time to be able to spend on that one. On the website, we've got a lot of information from people. Still waiting on the people that I met with last week to give me their information. Once I get everything for everybody, then I can get us a working model of the website to start looking at how the design is and to be able to go from there. Can't really give a time frame right now because it really is way too many variables. I'd love to see this thing get before the end of the summer, but I got to be realistic. I don't know if that's going to happen, just based on everything that's going on, because all the departments have a lot of work going on in the summer, and it's also going to depend on how they do. But let's see where that goes. Hopefully within the next month I can get a working model for us to be able to look at. Parking meters, we're live with the parking meters. We did have some training in May. Unfortunately, some of the enforcement portion, because of a lot of the fact that we don't have some of the module portions in place, the enforcement portion is not really going to work well, but the Public Works portion on their maintenance and stuff. So they've been trained on it. They have their tablets. They're going to be able to go out and be able to work on all of that. The internet and the county IT, unfortunately, we're sort of at a standstill. We approved what we approved, now we've got to wait for all the county to approve all of their stuff. We've got to have now the county pay for the internet, and then we pay the county. There's just a lot of moving parts that I would love to have done. But me and Brian have been talking on that. Me and Beth have been going back and forth so we can get that hopefully implemented very soon. Last thing is, I know it was mentioned that the last month in regards to the sound system, a couple of you had mentioned that the sound system wasn't quite up to the snuff as to what we would like. I did have 2 vendors come in. Both vendors said that we don't need a whole new sound system. They just need some tweaks. And in fact, the one from Brigantine Lands is the exact same one that put this one in, which is very interesting. But we came up with some really good ideas. They're going to get us another quote to do some enhancements. At the same time, I also started looking a little forward, getting where if we decide to go in with some television stuff for like planning and other boards, where that will go through the sound system. If we do, you know, some different things with recording, we're going to get that to be able to go through the system. I'm looking ahead on what we can do.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
With the whole thing. They should have a quote for me within the next couple of weeks. I'm guessing under 10,000 total to do the full.
Something to look at for next year, maybe. Something we
I might be able to tweak something, you know,
Okay.
within my budget, but we'll take a look at it. But I had the guy here, and he came up with some, we both brainstormed some.
It's a
really
big
good
room, and
ideas.
I know the people in the back have trouble hearing us.
The other thing that we noticed is you can't hear there, up there. So we also talked about a couple small speakers there, up where you guys are, because we noticed that we could hear back there okay on some stuff, but we couldn't hear there.
All right.
So we're looking at that, and your microphone and Lisa's microphone are actually share a channel, and that's why sometimes you're low or she's low. It all depends on which one.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna put in a second amp
You can have mine.
to separate everything and, you know, do a few other things.
But for the most part, people in here can hear us okay, correct?
Little things, I think with
I gotta know up front if in the back saying yes.
I think with some of the enhancements that we're looking at, that's gonna take, that'll hopefully take.
I got you.
So, and, you know, lots of stuff going on.
Good, thanks.
Lots of stuff. Thank you.
If I can just reiterate, if anybody, any of the department heads can help Jim get as much information for the website as possible. I know it's difficult to fit it in your day, but it's an important way to engage the public, and it's our first step.
Agree. Our next contestant is Miss Margaret. I'm sorry, Margaret Pakinowski. She is our tax collector. I hope you have some good news.
I do.
Oh, wonderful.
We did the veteran and senior report and got it in on time, June 5th, to the Division of Taxation. And we're working on the water bills. They're going to be due July 10th with the 10-day grace period. And that's it.
That's it? Okay. Do we have information to go out in those bills?
Basically the same.
Okay.
And we wished everybody a happy summer and safe
Okay.
summer and stuff.
Okay.
Next time, maybe we could do that bag ordinance, like
Right,
a
exactly.
reminder.
Right.
But this time, there really wasn't anything.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Good.
Any questions?
No, I think I'm good. You
No.
good?
Thanks, Margaret.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Sue Van Dyne. Sue runs the Ventnor City Culture Arts Center.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Just a couple updates from the last time. We have ongoing summer camp enrollment, which we're hoping to have 300-plus kids this year in a 6-week camp. That enrollment's going very well for that. We have a dance recital with Pakinowski coming up June 28th at the Ventnor School, 6 p.m. And Mr. Pakinowski was very helpful getting us lined up with the Ventnor School to make sure that that could happen. So we're very grateful to that. We had to go to Margate last year, so we're grateful to be back in Ventnor. And we also have a big craft show coming up July 7th with at least 30 artists, handmade local artists, a lot of Ventnor artists. That's the 43rd annual Ocean Breeze Craft Show here in Ventnor, so that's exciting. We also have an arts alliance that we formed with the Ventnor Business Association and Diane Burbeck and the Green Team, and we're kind of working together to create a database and a website and Facebook page of all local artists in Ventnor, but specifically Ventnor, people who work in Ventnor, to connect with each other. So if there's an event, somebody can refer to that reference to find artists or musicians for an event that they're having, or a show or something like that. And then we're doing the garden with the Alliance and a bunch of volunteers, beautification committee with Shelley, and everybody's kind of been working together. Ed from Public Works has been instrumental in helping with that, and it's been coming together really well. And John and Sue Miller, our primary volunteers, have done unbelievable amount of work in that garden. It's coming together really nice, and we're really happy.
And you made the fountain look pretty.
I did. Not just me, a lot of different people, so it's going good.
You and the volunteers.
Yes.
Thank you.
So that's, any questions?
I think we're good.
Okay.
I think
She
we're
took one for the team. If you didn't see the amount of calamine lotion she went through
Yes.
for the poison ivy, oak,
Yes, that was.
sumac, whatever she got, she looked like she was painting a
Really?
baby girl's room.
Happy too.
Yeah.
She had so much,
Happy
yeah,
to,
she
yeah.
took one for the team
And
there.
Billy too.
It looks phenomenal over there. If
It's-
you haven't seen what the Public Works guys did,
Yeah, it's been
take
great.
a walk over there.
All right.
It was years of overgrowth and stuff. It
Yeah,
looks
they did a
awesome.
great job. Thanks so much.
Isn't it, did we get certified as some sort of special,
Yes, they got certified, it's a certified monarch butterfly way station, so we got the signage for
which is
that.
pretty cool.
And that helps give the Green Team and the Sustainable New Jersey points for grant money for the future. So we're not working with grant money presently, but we're trying to get to a point where we can apply for more grant money for the future.
Great. Thanks, so.
Nice job.
Now one of my favorite ones, because he goes through most of the agenda for us. Ed Stinson, he's our Superintendent of Public Works and our city engineer. And I said that jokingly, but he will go through things that we have on our agenda. So,
Ed spends most of our money.
of course he does. But in the meeting when Ed's here, we don't reiterate it again, what he's going to discuss, especially since he is the expert on what he's discussing. So I'm ready to do checkoffs.
Okay, I will. Good afternoon. We'll start with Resolution 210. That is a work change order to the contract that awarded generators at various locations. It's an increase in the contract of $3,100, and that is to change the generator at the library from a portable generator to a permanent generator. And that comes through Roger McLaren, and it's recommended for Commissioner's approval. Resolution 214 is authorizing an agreement with the County of Atlantic for line striping on Atlantic Avenue from Fredericksburg to Jackson. This is a shared service. The county can come in and stripe the double yellow down the center for the entire length of Atlantic Avenue. The cost is a savings to us. It essentially pays for their labor and their materials. It's a nice arrangement to take advantage of. Item Resolution 2015 is an emergency sanitary sewer repair on Dudley Avenue. It's a $22,000 repair, and Ernie will speak to that in a little more detail, but that was in the 500 block of North Dudley. Resolution 216 is authorizing award of contract for geotech services for Firehouse 2. So we're recommending award to Czar Engineering. This will be the soil borings and the soil analysis that will lead to a structural report for the design engineer with the firehouse to appropriately design the footings and the foundation system for that firehouse. Resolution 217 is a resolution awarding a contract for miscellaneous concrete repair throughout the island. We're asking commissioners to award a $20,000 contract. This is for miscellaneous, if and where directed, concrete repair, curb, gutter, sidewalk. We anticipate we would use it for anytime we remove concrete for fire hydrant repair or installation or water sewer repairs, things of that sort.
The next one's gonna be the most exciting thing to the population that drives Monmouth Avenue.
We hope so. So Resolution 218 is recommending an award of contract to Blackjack Paving in the amount of $35,700, and that is to do repairs along Monmouth Avenue between Newark and Melbourne Avenue. That's the stretch of Monmouth that has several large areas of the asphalt that have broken up. We've gone out, Public Works has, and done the cold patch, the minor patching that we can do, but these are larger areas. They result in a lot of complaints, both from people driving and ones that live in the area. So it's a $35,000 repair. It is a repair, it is not curb to curb. So it is just to take up the areas that are failing right now and to hopefully get us through the next couple of years till then we can come and consider a capital improvement to repave the entire street.
Great.
Just other things that we're working on, just an update on the library playground, the Infinity Web piece that is closed off, and we had some of the tabs break off, so we closed it down. Did speak with the supplier of the equipment, and good news is that that equipment is still under warranty, so we will be getting some replacement parts. And then I will be coming back to the city asking for money to have it installed, because the warranty is for parts, not labor. But at least it's good news that it's not done. We can make the repairs, hopefully within the next month.
Which playground? Are you talking about?
Library.
That's what I thought he said, the one at the library, not
So
the
that's
other
the
one.
purple piece
Yes.
that has the web.
I didn't know it had a name.
That's why I asked you.
And
That's why I asked.
And I'm sure it's a specialized repair that we have to hire someone to do that. It's not something our guys can.
So what it is they're going to they're going to give us new posts. It's the tab on the posts that have broken and rusted and broke away, that's what gave loose. So we have to actually replace the whole post.
Okay.
So it's tear out, the footing and everything. Public Works is capable of doing it, but when you get into a piece that has kind of preset dimensions, as this will, my recommendation will be to have a contractor. We'll get prices and then we can.
Right.
Understood.
Commissioners can decide. Also, from the rec department, wanted to announce that the pickleball court grand opening will be Saturday at 8:30.
They get a lot of use for those pickleball courts.
Yeah.
I heard from someone that the surface is having some issues. Can we check that?
We resurfaced and at least-
Right. And someone was playing it last week and made a comment that it's cracking.
Okay.
So we should just check that.
We will check that.
Did you say 8:30 Saturday?
8:30.
Do
That's
need
all I
to-
have.
yeah.
I don't know. Shall we?
I don't know.
They're-
Are there any questions?
I have a couple little quick ones. It is just a double yellow that's going to be replaced on Atlantic?
That is correct.
And then the curbs, are they throughout the city? Are they in, just in places where things are being repaired, so not the business districts, or it's just throughout the city?
That's throughout the city where we do work.
Where we do
It's for
work.
someone to come in and fix that.
Got it.
Property owners are responsible for their curb and sidewalk in front of their homes and businesses.
Right.
Right.
We've sent inspectors down Ventnor Avenue recently. We focused on that area and advised business owners they need to repair their curbs and sidewalks.
Right.
As a homeowner, you're responsible for your own. I've had to replace stuff. You have.
Yeah.
So everybody's responsible for what's in front of their property. They need to
Right.
maintain it in a safe manner so people don't trip.
Right.
So
Especially somebody like me.
And my last thing is, I think we should maybe talk about that park, just long-term, that playground, and what our end uses are for that before we put any more money into that particular park. I think could use a roundtable, I think, a debate about what that space could be used for.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And just to comment, and it's done already, the crosswalks on Atlantic Avenue came out great.
Yeah.
That was a good fix for something that really needed, it's safety, it's public safety. So what we did was we did the crosswalks from Dorset to Fredericksburg, because they're in okay shape going the other direction. And we've got some projects in that area that are going to repair 3 blocks of that. We didn't want to mess that up. We followed the same pattern that comes out of Margate. You'll notice it's a little different on each side of the street, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Just so
Not
it's,
that I remember what they said.
right.
I remember them. One side's one way, right, Ed?
That's right.
Yeah. And it matches what's consistent with Margate, so we'll continue that pattern.
I think it looks safer. I think it feels like it's much more visible. It looks,
Yeah,
it
if we
looks
could just
great.
get people to use them the right way now, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Thank
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Leslie.
Thank you. Okay, next up will be Ernie Gratz. He runs the water department, sewer and water.
Good evening. We'll start with, we'll go through water. Our water plants, we have 3 points of entry. They're all functional. We're going to have plenty of water for the summer. We're in very good shape going into the summer. Aside on that is that we have, over the last year, we've rebuilt well 7, basically from underground up, all the way through the column, all the way down to the water table. We're at the point where we took water samples. We sampled for a lot of things. That well has not run probably in 7 to 10 years. So I want to be ultra conservative before it goes into service to make sure there's nothing in there possibly. There should be nothing in there because it's the same characteristic water that we have on the island, so it should be exactly the same. So I'm not expecting anything. As far as water is concerned, we've just completed the annual CCR. It's the Consumer Confidence Report. It is basically, it's a report card on what we did in 2017. And basically, bad or good, we have to put that in the CCR, and everything was good. And it's reported on our internal website for the city. It's also, there are copies that are over at the library. They have to be placed here in City Hall, but they are over at Public Works, and I'll be getting them here at the City Hall. So that's complete. We have to do this on an annual basis, and next year, I'll be talking about the same thing.
Great, thank you.
Wastewater. Wastewater, we had enforcement from New Jersey DEP come down for our annual inspection. They do an annual collection system inspection. Basically, it's the sanitary sewer system for the city of Ventnor. I spent a day with the gentleman. They went through everything. We opened up multiple manholes in the city, went through records, went through a lot of stuff. I'm happy to report there were no issues. Came up with one issue that's not related to sewer. We have to put a set of steps next to our Public Works sanitary service station. That way we can walk up to it. Right now we have kind of a little thing sitting there we step on before we get on top of it. And I agree with them, we have to put a set of steps. So we did very well in that.
More money.
But it was cheap.
I know.
As far as Ed already talked about the emergency we had on 505 Dudley Avenue. To elaborate, there was actually a sinkhole that happened a few weeks ago. Our guys went out there and stabilized it. We had to do more work. We brought in a contractor. We put 20 feet in of 6-inch SDR pipe, which is basically plastic pipe. On either side, it involved 2 of the residents. We had to put 2 laterals in. So we ran laterals right up to the sidewalk and connected their services for the wastewater end. That is all complete. Right now it has temporary blacktop on it. It's for it to settle. Once it settles, they'll put in the permanent blacktop and seal it. And that'll be a week or 2 from now. Finally, talk about the chlorination change out, where we have to change out the chlorination systems for the gas. We hired Duran Engineering to work on the application and also do the line drawings on that. That is finally now complete. That has been sent off to the state, and hopefully we can go to bid within the month, and we can finally start working on this project to start changing these out. It's going to be a long-term thing. I see 6 months to a year before they can be all changed out. but it'll finally get done. And that's what I have for you this evening.
Great, thank you.
Any questions?
I think we're good. I'm
Thanks,
good,
Ernie.
thank you.
All right. Good job, Ernie.
Next, Toro, our CFO.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
I've given each one of you a packet of the things that I just want to touch on. In your packets, you have reports for the three major funds that we have, the current fund, the utility fund, and the capital fund. The capital fund has a summary and a detailed report of the 2017 ordinances that we did, just so you see where we are with each one of those. And I have a little description if it's needed as to what we spent the money on. I'm just hearing now that we're gonna start everyone is gonna start using the time clock, so we're not gonna wait till we can integrate it fully with Edmonds.
I think what we're going to do is, I know when the county got a system, it took almost a year to get the kinks out. So I think what Jim, myself, and Maria discussed earlier today is people need to start using them, so then reports get generated, so you can, like the supervisors can see, because what happens a lot of times, people, they'll fingerprint in, they'll fingerprint out for lunch, they won't do it when they come back for lunch.
Yeah.
And when it gets integrated into payroll, they'll be paid on that data. So people need to get accustomed to using it.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Toro, we also talked about setting up a meeting with you.
Yes,
Okay.
with your idea.
Before any of this
Yes.
starts,
Yes.
so,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
far, the few people that are using it, some of the problems are somebody punches in the wrong number, or people are punching too fast. It doesn't
Right. So that's why if we start now, and then after we discuss the change that we want to do, we should be ready for it to be used and integrated by January.
All right.
All right?
I've also given you a snapshot of our financial position. I'm always excited to see the investment because we have almost 11,500 that
I
we
see.
wouldn't otherwise have had. I
Yep.
look at that as a win-win for the city because as the interest rate rises,
Right.
potential revenue also increases. On my timeline sheet that I gave you the updates for the policies are gonna be there for a while because I think I would wait till our second audit is complete to see what recommendations they have, to include that in the policies and procedures that we have. And I believe that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Tor, do you have, I mean, you come to all the meetings, but
Yes.
a capital summary for us?
It's
Is it in here?
second- Yes.
Where's it at? Just so I can look at it later.
Probably the last one, there are two. There's
I gotcha.
summary
Capital fund.
and
Thank you.
Detail,
I got it.
yeah.
So I can look at that afterwards. Thank you. And our beach badge sales are up.
Yeah, and that's exciting. I expect it to continue to go up
Yes.
because I think you're doing different things that we didn't do before that should bring in more money.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's great.
So that was, yeah, I was excited to see that,
Yeah.
definitely.
The only revenue that is worrisome is the ambulance fees.
And that's on here, so we'll discuss
It's on
that,
there.
yeah.
So far, we've only brought in 40,000, and that's as of today, which is pretty low.
It's, yeah, very low.
We have other things that are going to make that up, but the fees are not coming in, and I don't really know why that is. I think the calls are still going out, but I don't know. Maybe
Right.
there's something
With
involved
insurance?
billing, the insurance, maybe the way it's being paid now.
Because last year, we budgeted, I think, 100,000, because that's all we realized in 2016.
Yeah.
And we exceeded that last year.
Yeah.
Do we get like 100 and?
Barely though.
The calls are up.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm thinking, I don't know if it has something to do with the way the billing, medical billing has changed. I don't know, I'm only guessing. I just can't explain.
Right, because their calls are up, so,
We
Yeah.
should reach out to that vendor.
We're,
Then the other thing is we
They're on
don't
the agenda
really
tonight.
back bill.
we don't back bill citizens.
Of Ventnor, so if they can't pay it, we don't go after them.
Right,
So
right.
It's
For
been
forever,
that way
right.
For a while. Yeah. So I don't really have an answer for that, but
Right.
that's still worrisome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the thorn in our side, it seems. Lance, any questions?
Nope.
We're good? Okay. Next is Lisa Han, our city clerk.
I've been working on the mercantile licenses. They're up due for renewal. So I sent out 237 letters.
Wow.
So they're starting to come in, so I've been busy with that. And just day-to-day business. Everything's going good.
How many dogs are licensed?
I would like to say 20.
220, okay. We had over 400 last year.
Yeah, I think it was close to 400,
Yeah, it was over 400.
Do we send notices out to the people who had them last year?
We called everybody. Everybody that that didn't renew, we reached out to them.
Okay.
So,
Send the same dog. Send the police.
Yeah, we just had Ron call.
Ron.
I got the phone call from Ron.
Did you?
Yep.
That's right.
Ron hit the entire list,
Wow.
and he let everybody know about their dogs. It was
Good for Ron.
Mine were
Did a good
licensed.
job.
I didn't get a phone call.
Number 2 license. Boomer's number 2.
That's right, because you do it in January. I'm going to pitch it this year.
There you go.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, and last but certainly not least is Chief Biaggi, our police chief.
Hi. Okay, let's see, Friday and Saturday, I had the pleasure of being with our business administrator and Jesse. We went around town and filmed locations, people, Pakinowski clan, I mean, we haven't been on bikes in years, it was obvious. Jim basically had a motorcycle that was on the boardwalk. That was like, it was the coolest, it was pedal assisted ones that everybody's complaining about. He had like the top of the line.
I love it.
But
No wonder he looked good in the picture.
people were really happy going around. I mean, we had a great time with the people, the merchants, people that were visiting day trippers, people that were Margate residents, local residents that were visiting Ventnor, that were visiting our merchants. So, I mean, things are looking bright. I was really happy.
Some dude in a little red sports car.
Yeah, some guy with like a Spitfire. It looked like a Ken doll with a sports car, you know, that sticks out like 5 feet, and the car's like this big.
Not Fred Flintstone?
He kept trying to keep getting on film, you know, and it was funny.
Follow.
You know, it's just, whatever, guys and their toys, whatever. You know, but it was great. Actually, we're finishing it up on Saturday, I believe.
Yeah.
Saturday.
She looks
We
excited.
did everything. We did so much. We got so much done. The weather held up for the most part.
Yeah.
The restaurants that were part of it, amazing food that I wasn't even aware of. So.
Thank you to the Funk family. They were our beach family.
Yes, we did love it. We hit all the hot spots, and people were just amazing. And
Well, I have to thank you and Maria, if you don't mind me interrupting, because when Maria, our business administrator, saw this, she said, "This is free. We can, they'll promote our city, and we'll get the video." And I guess it was in the fine print, or it wasn't in print. But then she got a grocery list of everything that had to be done.
I'm on vacation.
While she was on vacation in California.
Shoot list, it was
I mean, it was, yeah, at every little detail. And I know Chief Biaggi,
Thank God.
Maria, I know the Pakinowskis, and a lot of people stepped up and helped.
cameo by Commissioner Kriebel and his.
Yes, a camera, yes,
Thank God for the chief, because he can drive anywhere,
right.
right, because he's the,
Safety.
because he's the,
No injuries, no nothing. It was a good.
But it was a lot of work.
Right.
It was a lot of work thrown on, and you
couldn't have done
weren't
it without
planned.
him. Couldn't have done it without him.
And vice versa, so we had a good time with that. So, during that same period of time, I got a chance to hook up with Prosecutor Damon Tyner over at the Enlightened Cafe. We had a coffee with cops, and if you haven't met Damon Tyner, he's an amazing guy who just is a forward-thinking guy doesn't have any enemies, police, citizens, everybody likes him. I was with him and Donna Weaver, who was his public information officer, who, by the way, helped us create our Facebook page today. So sign up, Facebook page.
Good.
Police
That's
department,
good.
we try and keep that updated. We're going to be putting press releases on there. We learned a lot. So the Coffee with the Cops is great. Damon's great. He wants to help the city as much as he can. And the people over at the Enlightened Cafe, I just want to tell you that there's probably a misconception just because of the premise of it and the way they work. But the people over there, the people, the employees, the people that visit there are wonderful people trying to change their lives, trying to work for a better thing. There's always going to be some rumblings or some things we have to tweak, and we're going to work on that in the future, whether it's, crowds or outside, people smoking or whatever, but we're willing to work with them. But the operation itself is a class act. They're really trying, and businesses around them are trying to accept the change. It's a cultural change. It's the way it is, this opiate war, it's something none of us were ready for. So everybody's trying to work, and we're at least having an open dialogue to make things better. Wonderful, wonderful day. Moving on to our police, we're having a graduation next week. We're getting Lindsay Shahaki and Dan Gordon. It's a long time coming. There were some, I want to say, personnel issues that dragged us out a little longer, but in the end, we're getting a better product. We ended up sending them to Camden County. Graduation's next Thursday, Friday. We also have a class 2 who will be graduating very shortly. It's going to be an FTO program, so sometime after the summer, these officers will be useful to us on their own. But we do have a severe, the summer is tough on us. So we've got to get their training, which is most important, that's done in a quality fashion and in accordance with Attorney General guidelines. So we're really happy for that. Boardwalk patrols are up and running. You'll see an increase of officers doing park and walks. You'll see an increase of officers on the beach in the morning with the ATVs, people with their dogs. Just going to warn them, not going to be so friendly this year. A lot of complaints. We heard the people over the winter, heard the people over the summer. Unleashed dogs, not acceptable dogs in general on the beach. It's not going to be, hey, I know you, I know this. It's not. It's going to be, you're going to get warned. Next time around, you're going to get ticketed. It's the way it's got to be. People have gotten lax to old ways. And we have ordinances on the books, and we are going to be enforcing them. Same thing with dogs on the boardwalk, which brings us to a whole other story, which is service dogs. There's not a whole lot we can do with them. There's certain questions we can ask. People will be asked to provide, whether it's documentation or an explanation as to why they have a service dog. However, they're now allowing service Shetland ponies, which is going to be another issue, so I don't know how we're going to handle that.
Chief, dogs are allowed in the evenings on the beach, right?
7 to 9.
7 to 9, right?
7 to 9, they are, so we're pretty good with that. Again, if you didn't hear the Shetland ponies part, I think that's the part that's going to bother me.
I heard that.
I always wanted a Shetland pony. But I just hopefully people can just stick with service dogs.
Clean up
It would be helpful if people just didn't go the Shetland pony route. Let's see, what else? Crosswalks. Boy, I love those crosswalks. They are beautiful. They are beautiful. Now, if we can just get people to understand the purpose of crosswalks and what exactly they can and can't do with them. Lighted intersections are great to go by because red means stop and go, green means go. Crosswalks is sort of that iffy, let me lead with my child in the cart and see what happens. And that's what usually happens, is it creates a whole bunch. So, rule of thumb, stay on the crosswalk till it's clear.
Right.
Edge your way out. Do not assume that the driver is going to see you, especially on a 4-lane highway. On a 4-lane highway, you're expecting that everybody else is going to do what you're doing. So, me personally, I'd go the 1 or 2 blocks to the light if it's not clear. It's much safer. Crosswalks, you're taking it into your own hand. You just are. You're hoping that the driver does the right thing. You're hoping that every other car in the other 4 lanes, the other 3 lanes is doing the right thing. It really is. With the summer, it's crazy. So if you can, go to the lights. If not, take the time, nudge your way out. Don't use your cart as the buffer, Maybe a little handshake, little waves that we'll do. but I can tell you that we will be out there enforcing it. So if you're one of the drivers that is aggressive out there, we're gonna get you. And we're gonna get you, and it's not a nice fine. And I don't care who you know in the city, you're gonna take a hit. Because everybody knows everybody here, so it just doesn't hold any water anymore. We all grew up here. So you know what, everybody's gonna take their lumps. That's the way it is. So, first thing, go to the light. If not, be real careful. But we're gonna be issuing, not only to the drivers of vehicles, but to the people that feel like they can just, jump out and everybody's gonna stop them. That's not the way it works. Okay?
So the pedestrians as well.
There is, and I'm gonna put something on our Facebook page.
How about people that walk while they're looking at their phone?
I can't even address that because I always get in trouble when I say the wrong thing, like you can't fix this. I won't even address people's minds where they're at when they're doing these things. When you're about to cross the street, your mind should be, I've got to get across safely, and how can I do it that way?
Right.
That should be your only thought. And I'm not saying like it's Death Race 2000, like it's some crazy game, but to some people it is. And so, again, we got pretty good light systems set up. If you can, wait for the lights. If not, let your friend go first and test the waters. And see how that works out. And then just go behind them. But that's really, you know the way it is. We've all done it. We all cross. It is crazy out there. And not everybody has the same mindset as we do. And it's not just
Scary.
the locals, it's not the out-of-towners, it's not our second owners. It's pretty much somebody from everywhere that does the same thing. So just be careful. I'll be putting something on the Facebook page that'll give you some tips on how to do it, and we'll see how that works out. Facebook page, that's right, we have a Facebook page. Sign up for it.
No, I just had a thought. If we could do some kind of, something printed, something small, we can have even,
Discuss that.
remember we said it last year, have the beach checkers, when they go around checking beach badges, they can hand it to the people.
Yeah, and then I just thought about the litter and everything.
Oh, okay, yeah, they'll throw it on the,
You know, I'm trying to go green, and I'd rather not kill trees just to warn people. We got the internet, we have social media, we'll start using that, see how that works. You know, well, that's pretty much all I have.
Okay.
Not bad, huh?
No,
Thanks, Chief.
thank you.
Do we have to stay? Can we all go en masse now, or? I know they're thinking the same thing. Anybody have any questions for me?
Is there going to be signage on the road regarding the pedestrian walkway?
How much do you want me to put up there?
They're up there already.
We do have, I mean, the universal signs for crosswalk.
Is there?
You know, what do you want, a big splat or something? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. We really want to educate people. No, it's a good thought. But it's like, you know, it's like in your garden, you can have a sign that says don't walk on the grass, and you got a whole family frolicking in it. So, I mean, it's just, we know that. We really do. So I'm going to try and educate them in a nice way. Maybe it'll help if I give one of their friends a ticket. That's like $200. And then they'll think maybe slowing down and letting the people cross was the better idea. I'm not trying to be mean or funny. I'm telling you that's what it takes. That's what it took on Monmouth Avenue, slow people down, a little bit of enforcement, a lot of enforcement, whatever it takes. But it's going to be a safe summer for us. And we're going to try to force it down your throat if we have to. Because that's the way we want it. If you guys want to talk, right? Oh, yes.
Will there be also some additional enforcement on bicyclists going the wrong way?
You know, boy, I'm glad you said that. For some reason, people riding bikes the wrong way must have skipped out on physics class where, you know, two objects running in the same direction create a bigger impact. They must have skipped that part because I guess they go to the class of, I'd rather see what's about to kill me than not. So, yeah, I like to enforce that. We do enforce that. But, I mean, you just see the people on Monmouth and Winchester Avenue that just don't understand. Just for clarity, if you own a bike, you are required to do the same laws or follow the same laws as motor vehicles are, including red lights, including going the wrong way on a one-way street. So if a cop is in the mood to nail you, he's going to nail you. And if you cause an accident, you're going to get the ticket. We've done that before with motor vehicle versus pedestrian. As you're lying there on the ground, our ambulance crew is taking care of you, we issue you the ticket that says you shouldn't have been going in that direction. And it's just the way it is. So we're going to educate you. I just educated you. If I see any of you riding the wrong way, I'm going to pull you over.
So Chief,
Yes.
When I learned to ride a bicycle on the street, they taught us to drive against traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were dumb cops.
Me too.
No, it wasn't cops. It was, that's
our
how we were
age-
taught to ride a bike.
Our
So
age
you
group.
could see the vehicles coming at you.
Who would teach you that? Somebody just didn't want you around, man. I'm sorry.
I
Maybe somebody did not want you around.
They missed.
But my mom taught me
I
to
was
like
taught,
that.
I was
Okay?
taught to go against so you could see.
Really?
Well, we're the same age. I'm a little older than
I'm
him.
gonna give you a quick demonstration, okay? A car hits you from behind, you're gonna go forward.
Right.
A car hits you in the front, the car's gonna go over you.
I don't disagree with what we do now.
Oh, no.
in that way.
She needed the explanation, this is really.
I'm just telling you how I was taught to ride a bike.
This is for her.
We were just trying to explain that our generation might,
This is for the doubters out there. But, okay, you ride with the flow of traffic.
so if I want to get hit and fly in the air, I go with it.
And you wanna see how.
If I want to get run over,
You wanna see bike range? You tell somebody that's riding against traffic in the summer that they're going the wrong way, the body language alone is just it's just amazing. That they think they're right.
Yeah.
Well, they're wrong. I'm here to tell you they're wrong. Wrong.
okay.
All right?
Gotcha.
I'm done. Anytime you call me on the phone, my line's on the are you thinking?
No,
Are you want that question?
I know when we drive through Longport,
Ooh.
everybody goes slow, and they go slow because they are notorious for enforcing their speed limits.
Yeah, Longport's like a whole different country. It's like over the border and everything, and kind of, it is, but you're right, and enforcement is the key. And you know what, I think you're right, so you know, we're gonna try that out this year. We're gonna try out a lot of enforcement, and we're gonna have a lot of angry people, a lot of people will be calling our commissioners, and they'll be like, what do you want me to do? And that's really gonna be the end of it. But you're right, and we've tried it the other way. The other way just doesn't work with people, they just don't get it. So you either got him in the pocket, and we don't get that money. Everybody thinks we make money off of motor vehicle stops and stuff. We don't. It all goes to the state. We get a very small fee, like $10 out of a ticket. It goes to processing with our court clerk. Almost all that money goes to the state. So when they say you're paying our salary with the tickets, that's not true. It's not paying for anything. So just so you know, you seem like an intelligent man. But you obviously know. You must have gotten a ticket in Longport or something. You're a changed man. I'm just trying to warn you that this is the way it's going to be. All right? So if you need me, call me on the phone. You know, my number's all over the place. Just call me, just ask the chief. You don't need an appointment. Come in and see me. Sit down, have a cup of coffee on the Curie. We'll have a good time. All right? Good day, everybody. And that is it.
Always a pleasure.
You can leave, and we need a 5-minute break. I need a,
Well, there we go. You got your back now. Yeah.
Motion for a bio break.
second.
Second motion.
All in favor? Aye. Sorry. Motion to adjourn? I'm sorry. Oh, my gosh. Reconvene, I'm sorry.
Motion.
Second?
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So now what we do is we go through our items that we will vote on tonight, but what we do is the first part is actually our workshop, and this is where we, the commissioners, discuss the items. And there is a public portion. And then we go right into a commission meeting to vote on the items that we're going to discuss openly in the public. So, first we're going to have we're going to approve our minutes from April 12th and April 26th. The first ordinance introduction is 2018-024. It's an ordinance amending Chapter 195 that one got pulled.
So I'm being told.
Okay, that one's pulled.
Yes.
So we're going to nix that one.
Yep.
Okay, that's right, Lisa, you told me. Our first ordinance, introduction is 2018-025. It's an ordinance amending Chapter 193 of the Code of the City of Ventnor, creating an ad hoc committee for the City of Ventnor. This is something we discussed. Commissioner Kriebel came up with the idea, and Commissioner Landgraf, Commissioner Kriebel, and I think when we were running, we thought it would be a good idea. And then you resurrected the idea. It's to get people involved out in the community. We want a mix of people. We want seniors. We want different. We also want second homeowners, because I think sometimes they feel like they don't have a voice. So we put it out there, right, Maria, on our Facebook? And we got about 10 people so far interested. So we'll probably be compiling if any other resumes or letters come in. And the commissioners and I will rotate chairing it because we cannot all be.
Oh, no, we're not chairing it.
No, not chairing it, I'm sorry, attending it. That's right.
We will attend and.
We will attend it. Yes, that's right. No, we're not chairing
I
it.
think you are the chairperson, the way it's written.
Are we?
Yeah.
Are we?
I think we're the chair.
Come on, Tim.
I knew that.
Wasn't me,
I'm kidding. It was an example, probably, ordinance that we pulled from a similar event.
I made it up from
The
scratch.
intent was, I guess we chair it, but the intent was us not to lead the meeting.
Right.
The intent was the public, the ad hoc committee, the citizens advisory committee is what we're calling it.
Right.
Is for the citizens to come to us, residents to come to us with ideas, issues, possibly some solutions to those issues. So that's what we're looking for out of that. And we do, we've got the people that I've been contacted by, it's a very
Right.
diverse group, which will be nice.
And I think it would be productive if we were also to make some suggestions to areas that we're working on.
Right,
also to get
right.
opinions.
So they can.
They'll get plenty of ideas
Yeah.
on their own.
I'm sure.
Sure.
But you're right. We should, hey, what do you guys think about this?
Right.
It's also a sounding board for us.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And if we get, the idea is to have a diverse committee, different areas of the city, second homeowners, because then everybody has something, they come to the table with something different, so. The next ordinance that's going to be introduced is ordinance 2018-026, and it's ordinance amending, supplementing the land use ordinance of the city of Ventnor, chapter 102, land use regulations, article 3, definition and word uses. Lance, do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
This is what we came down to with some building height. I'm going to, Jim Agostino couldn't make it tonight, but he did send me an email of what we worked on to get into this regulation, this ordinance. Height ordinances, change in ordinance will give design professionals a little more freedom in design. It should be easier to interpret. Right now, we use a roof height eve envelope. It's darn near impossible to, unless you're an architect, to figure it out. So we've changed that, made it much easier to deal with. All heights are the same, no lower or higher than existing regs. It's just we defined it better, much easier to deal with. So that's the bulk of what we did with that ordinance. Change some definitions, some heights, and things of that nature. So that's what's being proposed tonight.
Great. Okay. Tim, you have any questions on that?
Is there anything remarkable in the descriptions other than what you mentioned here, the building height? And it looks like they're all.
It's highlighted in red in the. It was in red. I'm not seeing it in red now. Okay. It was in red. It defines building height. It defines.
I see it. And this is throughout the city. This is not one specific.
Correct.
area.
This is throughout the city.
The entire.
It does allow flat roofs, but it limits their height.
Right.
We don't want 3-story flat roof structures.
Right.
It defines dormers. It defines they must be set back from the eave of your structure. So it got a little better in defining things. The planning board came to us with these definitions from the issues they have dealing with applications. So that's kind of what we went through and made those changes.
Wasn't there a difficulty with what was considered the front of the house? Is that what
So
the problem?
Yes. So the ordinance,
Is that
as it was
fixed?
written before, you had to, if you didn't face the gable end of your home to the street, you needed a variance.
Right.
So it's just not, it's not flexible.
Right.
We want to be flexible. We want diverse homes in the city. So if you wanted to, turn your home where your gable ends are on your side lot lines,
Right.
you needed a variance. So we've amended that to allow, we required certain roof slopes, 512, so it creates roof pitch, which is nice. And it'll eliminate a lot of variances that the board was always granting anyway. That's what a planning and zoning board should do, is look, if we're granting every variance that comes in here for this certain thing, let's change the ordinance to make it work better for our residents, our builders, and our architects.
Right.
So,
Okay.
that's what we try to do with it.
Great. Well, that's all I have.
we'll have a public portion on all these as soon as we go through our discussion.
We go through everything first, okay? Our next item will be a public hearing and the adoption of ordinance 2018-022, and that's an ordinance of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 41 Recreation. What that is it is getting a schedule of fees in our code book, which did not exist before. The next resolutions we will be voting on by consent. I will go over the resolutions that have not been discussed yet, because some of them have been discussed through our superintendent engineer, Ed Stinson. So the first one is Resolution 2018-203, and that's a resolution for of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, authorizing the disposal of surplus property, and this is items that we're going to put on gov deals. Correct, Maria?
Yes.
Okay.
Govdeals.com.
Govdeals.com. The next resolution is 2018-204, and this resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, authorizing the execution of a tax abatement, which is self-explanatory. The next resolution is 2018-205, resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, authorizing the submission of a grant application, TA 2018 Ventnor City, to execute a grant agreement with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Transportation Alternatives Program. Maria, do you want to just give us a quick snip on that?
Yes, this is a grant we're applying for, up to $1 million for streetscape improvements on Ventnor Avenue.
Great. Any specific blocks from to and from, or no?
Jackson to Dorset.
Jackson to
Thank
Dorset?
you, Lance.
Thank you, Lance. Okay. The next item is Resolution 2018-206, a resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, approving submittal of a grant application to execute a grant agreement with the United States Department of Transportation, better utilizing investments to leverage department discretionary grant program. Can I have a snip on that grant, Maria?
Yes, this is what we call a build grant, and it's to fund for a traffic study on Atlantic Avenue, to design improvements to upgrade and synchronize traffic signals. And we know that to do the whole area, it's significant monies. So we had an internal discussion as to, with our engineer and our public works superintendent, and I believe some of you too, has, if it would be helpful to do this in parts. We talked to Chief Biaggi, that was the other person, and it would. So, you know, we're going to do what we can do now through application. It's not the whole area, but we're going to try to chip away at it a little at a time.
Okay, thank you. Next resolution, 2018-207, is a resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, approving 2018 to 2019 liquor license renewals. These are for our liquor stores in the city. They're just renewals. The next resolution, 2018-208, excuse me, is a resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, appointing members to the Ventnor City School Board. And we are reappointing Doug Biaggi and Michael Hagelgans.
Right.
Okay? And we have an open seat that we need to deal with. Okay? Not tonight, but okay. The next resolution, 2018-209, is a resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, authorizing a one-year extension for the ambulance medical service billing service to DM medical billing. And Tori, you already said, is there? Can you reach out to somebody there, maybe on their end, they can tell you what's different? Like,
Yeah.
all right.
Should we pull this?
No, because
We still need to keep on.
we need the service, and we're not good
Yeah.
at.
All right.
And the last time the city changed vendors was before we were here, and that was a disaster.
Okay.
So we're not pulling it. Can you just reach out to a rep there and ask them, so we can get a little bit more of an understanding why the revenue seems low again? Thank you.
This is the last of the contract extensions, and then we would have to re-up anyway.
Exactly, yes. Okay, the next resolution, 2018-210, Ed Stinson went through that one. The next resolution, 2018-211, a resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, authorizing the grant application and execution of an agreement for Resilient New Jersey grant.
Okay, so this is up to $200,000 to provide funding to help us identify and address vulnerabilities on the island, and come up with some planning and an approach to flood protection. This will look at Shelter Island also for some of the needs, and regional back bay protection, and allow us to gather some data and some analysis. This is funding is coming from HUD, and they're encouraging joint applications, so we are the lead applicant, and we will apply along with Longport and Margate. And I don't know, Lance, maybe you can say a little bit better than I can on what this is going to achieve.
Yeah, it looks at different options on more resiliency, being able to sustain the island in rising tide waters, flood waters, and such. So it's looking at options, living shorelines, things of that nature, bulkheading, different ways to handle stormwater management and the like. So it's a group project. I believe you said Margate and Longport are on board on the same one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're all applying for it at the same time.
Great.
Is the 200,000 just for Ventnor or for the 3 communities?
I think that's all of it.
It's all, yeah.
Okay.
It's all three.
We're the applicant for all 3.
For all
Yeah,
of us,
yeah, we
okay.
are the lead on it. Jim Rattella's put it together, and we're the lead. And then Margate and Longport will be part of it.
Gotcha.
It's the study end of it. So
Right,
it's
right.
200,000, you're not going to do very much with that.
Right, just the
amount of
study.
money. This is just the study of it.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. The next resolution, 2018-212, resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, it's a refund of a tax overpayment. And the next one, resolution 2018-213, is also a refund for a tax overpayment. Resolution 2018-214, 215, 216, 217, 218 were all handled by Ed Stinson. He went over each item, so we will not reiterate on them. Our next portion is our workshop discussion items.
Well, since we had a question on one of the ordinances, why don't
We can open up.
why don't we do that?
Okay. What we'll do is we'll do our discussion items after we have a public portion. I'll flip-flop that so you don't have to wait if you have a question and want to leave. Since it's so beautiful out today, imagine that, sun in June. So do I have a motion to open the public portion? And this is on any items that we have discussed so far. This is not other items. We have a portion for that later on.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's now open to the public. If you'd like to come up to the microphone, you state your name and your address, and this is the portion for things that are on the agenda to be voted on tonight.
Okay, great. Todd Miller, 15 South Dorset Avenue. I just had a question or a clarification on ordinance 2018-026. You discussed it as being simply changes to the definitions and mostly height. I just want to get a clarification. There's no lot size changes in the R1 zone that's been removed?
No, that's been pulled.
Okay, it's still in the summary. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
If that's been pulled.
Okay. Say my comments, thought I read it. Thank you very much.
Regulations in all districts.
What, the summary, Todd, what summary are you talking about?
Just on the first page of the agenda, it says on the listing of the ordinance, word uses, and then it says Article 4 Residential 1 District.
In all
Yeah, it
districts.
does. So that should be
Yeah.
altered, that's not correct. It does say to the top of the ordinance too.
Okay, that was just confused me
So
a
that
bit.
should be changed, it's not just in the R1.
Yeah, and then it
This is throughout
says,
the whole- It's general regulations in all districts.
exactly,
So,
right.
yeah, we pulled that, we're gonna sit down and discuss with you guys. Bill sent me a text asking me to meet him 2 weeks ago, and I said I can't do that. So, typos kill you.
I wanted it done 2 weeks ago.
I know. So we're gonna set up a time in the near future to meet before, and it's, look, the lots that we're concerned about have sat there for 15 years. We're not in a rush. We don't want to rush it. We want to get it right. I briefed the planning board on that last night, that we're going to basically set up a committee of them, the same guys that look at all the stuff. It's the chair, Vice Chair Tom McAdam, and Roman Zabihatch. So those three guys and us and your team will sit down and discuss options and see what we can come up with. I do want to add some builders and possibly some real estate agents into that group. And I think we're going to do it at a public hearing at the planning board. We're going to set a special meeting. We may meet before that, but we're going to set up, Jay wanted to do it at a special meeting at the planning board. Get it out and get some input on, you guys even said your own group is conflicted on what to do. So let's.
Yeah, I think we all want to see something happen on that
Right.
site. I think we all agree on that.
Agreed.
How the lots are configured is.
Yep. So we want to get it right.
Controversial.
We want to try and encourage development on those parcels, but proper development.
Yes.
We want to all see nice homes there.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
109 South Dorset Avenue. To follow up on that.
I didn't hear your name, I'm sorry.
Craig Ameth, 109 South Dorset Avenue, a Ventnor resident. To follow that thread, am I to understand then that at some future period of time, you want to potentially change the lot size requirements for properties within the St. Leonard's Tract, particularly along the boardwalk?
There's a section of the boardwalk that was spot zoned about 15 years ago. Dudley going north. It's vacant. It's been vacant for those 15 years. The lot size requirement there, as it's written right now, is larger than any lot in the city of Ventnor. So it was spot zoned, in my opinion, and I'll take this out of the commissioner. As my opinion as a professional planner, it was improperly done. It was done for spite, to stop development there for whatever reason, and it's worked.
That's not the case.
Well, it was spot zoning, by definition.
I was
it was
at
spot
those
zoning.
meetings. There was no spot zoning. Those individuals that owned those parcels came with an engineer in front of this committee for a variance for a certain amount of development along those lots. And the variance was partially approved and partially denied, but it was brought in front of this board and adjudicated at that time. At that time,
but what I'm telling you,
at that time, the St. Leonard's Tract Association, members of that community were on record supporting what was eventually allowed, which was, if my memory serves me correctly, there were 6 parcels that were asked to be developed, and I think 5 were given instead of the 6, including along the boardwalk front and the 2 lots that were immediately closer to the bay, basically, away from the boardwalk.
but it is spot zoning. It's the only section of the city that has that requirement.
What is these size land?
It wasn't spot zoned. It was upholding what the ordinance was at the time. It wasn't spot zoned within a block. It was for the entire city.
No, it's not. It's that particular.
You're wrong.
Okay.
You're wrong. You're simply wrong.
Okay, fine.
That's
We're going
why
to
we're
change
talk-
it.
that's why we're gonna
That's
have a
why
special
we're talking
meeting
about it, but it will
about it.
change. It will be changed.
So what is the purpose of needing it to be changed?
Because it sat undeveloped for 15 years.
The reason that it sat undeveloped simply is that the current owners decided not to develop it, not because there's some financial hardship related to the lot size or the zoning.
Then you're certainly welcome to have that opinion. And what our desire is to encourage development in this community. And that's what we're going to look to do.
I don't disagree with the desire to encourage development. Where I take exception is in the St. Leonard's Tract area where current owners have purchased properties expecting that the zoning remain the same and make it unique and special The reason that people come to buy your beach badges is to go to the beach. They're not coming to buy beach badges to go to the boardwalk or to go to the bay or whatever. This is the jewel of Ventnor is St. Leonard's Tract. And to change the zoning in St. Leonard's Tract to allow higher density building is the wrong way to go. These are the most historic properties within this city. We're not talking about anywhere else. You know, I'm not referring to anywhere else. So if you're talking about changing the zoning in other areas of the city, I can understand where you would want to maybe consider that and encourage development there. But in the St. Leonard's Tract itself, it would be a huge mistake to allow higher density into that area.
So to change the lot size to be consistent with what exists there now would be against what's developed there? I don't understand that.
To change, I'm not sure.
Right now, I think we're talking semantics here. Right now, the lot sizes are, in that area, are different.
Yes.
Correct.
From the other lot sizes.
Because they are, I mean, they're
There's a single
zoned.
requirement of 10,000 square feet per lot that doesn't exist on any other lots in that area, right?
correct.
So that is what we're discussing, having the ability to make a uniform.
Are you talking about all of St. Leonard's Tract or the boardwalk or just that block?
3 lots.
Huh?
Those 3.
That one block. There's one block that's that right now has a different condition set upon it than any place else in the city.
10,000 square foot requirement.
They're required to be larger than anywhere else in the city, including the rest of the R1 district.
That's one symptom, and then how long have they sat undeveloped is a question. I'm asking.
Since early 2003 or so.
And can I ask you a question? Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you're saying change zoning. And
I don't think anybody wants to change the character.
And it's, no, and it's not about change the zoning, but I did a little homework myself, and I don't know where the St. Leonard's Tract people were when there were houses built along the boardwalk, smaller than what I think the people there want, because that person got a variance and it passed. So that's okay if they get a variance and it passes, they're okay. But the commission can't try to make things right with an ordinance. I'm just asking you a question. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know there's a couple homes on the beach, right on the
Correct.
boardwalk.
In Europe, I mean, aesthetically, I mean, we're talking aesthetically now, where those homes are, where literally one of which is being torn down to build a higher home at the present time, as you may be aware. Right. Those were shoved in basically with a variance. Now, I mean, I wasn't there at the time to comment on it, but aesthetically, it was a mistake.
But it was done.
It was done, but it was a mistake. That's my opinion. As far as,
Is that the one on Surrey? There's a couple. Because that one on Surrey has to come back to the planning board.
Surrey in the beach block?
Yeah.
On the boardwalk?
Not on the boardwalk, one, maybe 2 in. They would know better than I would.
The other thing to consider when you're making these decisions is, especially, talking about the Dorset Derby. I mean, Dorset Avenue, that 100 blocks south, is ostensibly the busiest street in the summer for beach traffic in all of Ventnor. It's also the most dangerous in all of Ventnor for beach traffic. I mean, I've lived there now for, over 20 years, and I can't tell you the number of times I've seen people get injured or near injured, walking in the street, cars passing by, people going through. Variances were given to properties along the boardwalk there on the Atlantic City side of the street, where they've taken the sidewalk away, allowed additional driveway space. There's 8 cars parked there, and people have to literally walk, not on a sidewalk, but in the middle of the street to try to get to the beach because of variances that were granted. So I'm concerned that if you change the lot size and allow additional homes to be, maybe one additional more home to be placed on that boardwalk side. Those people need to drive in and out. They have guests coming all summer. They have to park back and forth, and that's where people in our community are walking, back and forth to the beach. It's not a safe situation.
No, I know, but I mean, not to,
They have to have a driveway that, they're creating another street there as well, essentially.
I'll bring that up to the
Yeah,
safety-
it's not a safe
public
situation.
safety. I'll discuss it with public safety.
The idea is not necessarily to gain more lots there, it's really to set it up. I think the maximum you can get there is 4 across that front. If there's 60.
That's what they asked for in whatever it was, 2000.
They asked for 50-foot lots.
They asked for 4 homes all along the boardwalk there, and they were not granted the 4 homes. They came before this board, and this room was filled.
They didn't come to this, but they came to the planning board.
They came to ask for his variance.
that's the plan.
That's the planning.
Okay, the planning board. This room was filled. There wasn't a seat to be had. Were any of you here at that time?
I lived here, yes.
Were you at the meeting?
No.
Okay. I was. There wasn't a seat in the house, and there was standing room. And it was a very contentious discussion that should not be revisited 12 years later.
I think it should be revisited.
I disagree. Why? For what reason?
For what reason?
Yeah,
Because
why should it be, if the reason that that's not being developed, if I own those lots and I decide that I don't want to develop them, and I come to you to tell you that I have some hardship in developing those lots, what business is in front of that board? In front of, the planning board? What responsibility does the planning board have?
I'm not looking at this as a hardship for an individual property owner. I'm looking at something that'll.
Well, ostensibly, that's what it comes down to. If you change the rules so that they could put 4 properties along those lots, then you've granted them what they were denied 12 years ago, or whenever we were here before.
I think we should bring those comments to the planning board when that special session, which we've just.
Okay, how will you notify the public regarding this special session?
We'll put it out there. It'll be in the paper, it'll be on our website. We'll send a notice to the St. Leonard's Track Group, absolutely, through Bill and.
Okay, and when do you expect this to be happening?
That I don't know yet.
All the planning board meetings are on the website, and they describe the dates and the time and the location.
I had asked the chair of the planning board last night to try and schedule it before the end of the summer.
So they only meet
We meet twice a month.
twice a month. So, yeah.
Because I wanted to make sure our summer residents were here when we held the meeting.
If you want to leave your name and phone number, we can have someone contact.
Yes, for the record, you can put it down as Craig Ameth, and the phone number can be, you can send it to.
You don't have to give your phone number.
Yeah, I'd rather just leave it as an email, or just mail me a notice at 109 South Dorset Avenue. I mean, this all started, to me, this
Sir,
just seems.
I don't want to cut you off, but it's
Okay.
really a planning board issue.
Okay, I understand that, but I would just want to understand that we were notified regarding a request for a zoning variance, I guess about 2 months ago, regarding these same lots, that when we came to get the plans regarding it, we were told that that was pulled. And then subsequently, this action has been happening. And I think that you're not being completely open and forthright as to who's pushing this agenda.
I would say the exact opposite. I would say that the reason why these meetings are being had is because there's some questions and concerns about it on both sides. So that's why we're going to fully vet it and have it in the light of day. So I would absolutely disagree with what you just said.
Okay.
And you had asked Commissioner Landgraf, you presented a question, who are we? What he explained from his first statement that he said was development in the city, and I don't think maybe you didn't hear, we're not going to do anything different than that would already exist. What that land right now, the conditions on it are different. So we're trying to make the wrongs right in the past 2 years, whether it's something St. Leonard's Track, a homeowner likes or not. But what he was saying was, we're not going to do something that is not consistent with the rest of the city. You may not like a decision that comes out of these meetings, but we're not about to turn around and say there's going to be a hotel put there. I mean, that's the difference. When he was explaining to you, and yes, we want development, and when it's all said and done, maybe nothing gets developed and nothing gets done, but what he was trying to explain to you was that area is zoned, as he called it, spot zoned, for homes to be put there that are a lot larger. Am I correct, Lance?
The lot sizes are larger than anywhere else.
Right, so, I mean, how would St. Leonard's Tract like 2 homes there that are huge? Would they have a problem with that? Why not?
There were 2 homes to begin with. That's what was there to begin with. 2 homes. Yeah, historic homes that, one of them was the Sleigh House, which took about 3 weeks to knock down. It was built so well.
I understand that.
Okay.
I've lived here most of my life, and I
Okay.
understand that.
So
But that's the world we live in. It's a business transaction. People, I mean, if someone purchases something and it's their property, they have the right to do, as long as it's in the guidelines within the ordinances of the city. I know you may not like
Correct.
that answer, but let's be real.
That's correct. So at the time, they tore the homes down, they came before the board, and the board, granted, this is what, they came with plans, showed that they wanted to put 4 homes on those lots, and, the board did not grant the 4 homes along those particular lots, granted for 3. So basically, 12 years later, you want to revisit that, is what you're saying.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that we revisited throughout the administration that are improved, and we're not going to do it, and we're not going to do it without investigation. So we welcome your comments and thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, this is awkward because what I was going to discuss was that...
I need your name and your address, sir.
Michael Bluestein, 111 South Derby Avenue. I've been asked by 26 residents of Ventnor to acknowledge and thank each of you for reconsidering and withdrawing the very negative R1 zoning changes that were going to be proposed in the ordinance. We all appreciate that you were open to hear our voices and that you took into consideration the non-beachfront owners' concerns. We do understand that ratables, tax revenues, are very important for Ventnor and for all of us. But we also know that today and over the last 10 years, many beachfront lots and homes have sold. All of them were priced at the market value at that time. And if current lots were priced at today's value rather than prices from 10 years ago, the lots would sell and Ventnor would have their ratables. That is an absolute fact, that the 3 lots that you're talking about, the Gordon lot, 85 by 125, they are very happy holding that lot. I've had interactions, conversations with them, and they want that lot to be that lot. You have 2 other lots that are the interior lot and the other lot. And those lots, when you did the original ordinance, brought it down to 50. And that was really very detrimental to not just St. Leonard's Tract, but the residents of Derby and Dorset Avenues. Again, I'm not speaking just for myself. I have a list of 26 residents.
Well, tell us what your feelings are, because you're the one that's here, so...
If you ask any realtor on the island, or the hundreds of people who walk, ride, and run on the boardwalk, they will tell you that the historic reputation of the larger, prestigious homes on the boardwalk is one of the top images which helps to promote house sales in all of Ventnor. And we are very grateful, all of the 26 of us, because we were going to take actions that nobody would have been happy with. And we don't want to take those kinds of actions. We want to, like you're doing, I love what you're saying, you're going to have it open to architects, builders. I think, Lance, I think that's fantastic. It's the right way to do it. Right. And it will avoid legalities that could go on for a year to 2 years that benefits no one. So the key, so thank you for 26 people, I thank you. But the key thing is...
You have to say thank you 26 times. I'm teasing you.
When someone prices a lot at market at value, what they believe is the value, and they get a bid at market value, the price, they reject that bid, and then they go ahead and raise the price higher. So these homes are selling, lots are selling, everything's selling. You can't just say that these lots between, first of all, you can't even talk about the Gordon lot.
Right.
They want it to be the way they want it. We're talking about properties, Gelman properties or Derby properties. We're talking about those two lots.
Right.
So there's two lots. The other lot is fine, and the owners want that lot. So what is the goal here? To mimic the variance that Gelman Properties presented and then withdrew? To mimic that? Because anything else you do, Lance, anything else you do is not going to give her the 3 lots.
Correct.
She's not going to get the 3 lots with 1/6,
And look,
any of it.
my goal is not to satisfy the Derby properties. My goal is to create proper zoning that matches what the rest of the beachfront has out there. And if I don't know, the other corner lot, I don't know the gentleman's name, the one wants to keep it the way it is.
They do.
That's fine. If he does that
it's their lot.
forever, they can do whatever they want.
They've owned it longer than I've owned my lot from Gelman Properties. I bought 2 lots from her.
So what I do as a planner, I look at down the road. That's what we're tasked with as professional planners, is to look down the road, the future. So should they sell that lot? What would be the appropriate development in there? Would it be, that big lot and the other lot smaller, or would it be 65s on the end and a 60 in the middle?
You're creating something that you can't do. The Gordons own that lot, and they're going to build.
They own that lot now. So
they're not selling the lot.
Here's an example.
They're going to build a nice, beautiful home with a swimming pool on that lot.
Then it's moot. So, but what
okay, it is moot if that occurs.
So
okay,
right.
I'm good.
So
I've got my answer. It's moot if that occurs.
An easy example to look at is if this island was Galveston, Texas, in 1905, and we got hit with a hurricane and it wiped everything out. Everything. Everybody's home's gone. You start from scratch. That's what you plan for.
But you're like making believe that the Gordon that the Gordon lot is part of the Gelman properties. It's not. The people who own that lot, the Gordons, are very happy owning that lot.
That's fine.
So how are you going to do the other 2 lots to change what?
So
you're spot zoning, Lance. You're spot zoning for Gelman properties.
What happened on that property
Be
now?
very direct to you. That is spot zoning.
No, that zone would match everything else along the beachfront in that zone. So that's not.
So now you're going to have the 85, the Gordon lot, who's going to build a beautiful home there, and then you're going to squeeze in what, 3 lots?
No.
To give.
No, that is not what.
No.
Look, the ordinance isn't even written yet.
That is what it, that was.
That's what it was. It is not happening.
That is what it was.
Right. It's not.
Which is why we're here to thank you
and we pulled
for
that back.
withdrawing that.
Right.
And we are looking at different options for larger lots than what that original ordinance was. So there's no way we're going back to that number. There's no way you're getting more than, if the maximum you could get there, in my mind, would be 4 across, and that would only be if the Gordon lot was subdivided.
And it's not being subdivided.
Right. That's the plan now, that's correct. That's their plan now.
Oh, as of yesterday. That's their plan as of yesterday.
I get that. And that could change 10, 15, 20 years from now.
And that should come up in the discussion at the planning board then. I mean, the land that's available now, the formula that we're discussing of 65, 60, 60, 65 is the most appropriate use for the land that's available. If you're saying that information has changed and that those plans are in the works for that 80-foot lot to be developed, then that has to come out in that discussion, right?
Right.
And that changes those facts, if the facts,
Oh,
if the facts are
it
wrong.
definitely changes it.
Then
Okay. Again, I think I apologize that I didn't just thank you.
That's okay.
But he got me started here.
That's okay.
Because when I hear, that spot zoning was back then, and this is not spot zoning, when the variance is the idea, no, I don't, that's, no. I have 26 people that are in agreement, or in disagreement, that back then it was spot zoning, and that this is not spot zoning.
And maybe I can help explain that. The difference is, it was spot zoning when they created lots, that the lot size was different from the neighborhood. It is not spot zoning when you revisit those lots and you make them so they're in conformity with size of lots in the neighborhood. That's the difference. Now, I'm not saying whether it's wise to do that or not, but that's the difference. So it is definitely not spot zoning.
One of the other issues, I appreciate what you're saying, one of the other issues that came up, which you had mentioned, was the value of all of the homes that are 50 by 125. So if you now start with smaller beachfront lots and homes, now they're smaller homes, so their values are less. What does that then do to our values? I think it would decrease significantly the value of all of our homes. I then would follow to say, well, wait a second. If because of smaller beachfront lots, homes are now lower priced, and now our homes become lower priced, what does that do to Ventnor's tax revenue over a longer period of time?
Those are all the things we're going to look at.
Over a longer period of time.
Those are all the things we're going to look
You're
at.
going to be hit with lower tax revenues as well. Again, when they ride by the boardwalk and people talk, the image of the larger homes, and Beth, you're talking about like, there's only one area where there were variances that got the 50.
Right.
It was one time.
Right.
All across the boardwalk. You guys, you all ride and walk and run along the boardwalk, and you see the value of these beautiful, prestigious, and it's not just St. Leonard's Tract, because they're big down the other way, and down the other way they're large homes. The people who buy beachfront homes spend a lot of money, and they make beautiful large homes, which benefit all of Ventnor in the sales.
We agree with
you.
We agree with 100% in the
But
character.
I do love what you're doing, and I think it's very appropriate, and we all thank you for that. Thanks.
Thanks for the comment.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yeah, come up to the mic, Ann.
Ann Corrigan, resident, Derby Avenue. And I'm speaking as just a resident, not having anything to do with St. Leonard's, and I need you all to understand, I don't really understand zoning so much, so I'm not knowing exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But I want to tell a story. My story is this. I got a call back in February saying that Fran Gelman wanted to have her lot split and make more houses in there, and that a variance was coming to here. So some people got together, and then the variance came, it was withdrawn or something. The request for variance was withdrawn from that. That's right?
Yep.
So far, okay. So then, about, I don't know, like a couple weeks after that, I got a phone call and someone said, you won't believe this, but Fran Gelman paid someone in the somewhere money to have them change the lot size according to the city, like not need a variance.
Well,
Okay?
being the administration, none of us were paid by the
That's
Fran
us.
Gelman anything.
Well, and I don't know who. I mean, and I don't even understand, really, I'm embarrassed to say this, I don't even really understand the whole government.
That's really
system.
unfounded. You shouldn't be saying that in public.
Yeah.
I should be saying what?
That you're accusing us of taking a bribe
No,
right
I'm
now.
not accusing you, I'm
Well, you
telling
just
you a
did.
story
So,
that I
but
heard.
without
A rumor.
a rumor.
Okay, it could be a rumor.
Which belongs on the
If-
forum.
If somebody was saying a rumor about me, and the whole area knew about it, I would prefer, I would like somebody to tell me that somebody was doing that, but if you don't want me to tell you, it's okay. I mean, it's out there and people talk about it, but if
There's a lot of stuff out there,
you
Ann.
don't want me to tell the story, I'm not.
You know what,
Now
there's,
when they're out there talking about it, you can tell them how false it is.
Right, yeah.
Okay, well, I said at the time, that's false news, okay? I don't believe that. I don't come from that kind of place. It's false news. And then the next thing we hear is that something was coming up where they were changing the lot sizes on the government property.
can I ask a question? Maybe anybody from St. Leonard's can answer me. Because I think that,
And I don't want anybody thinking, oh.
no, I know, but
I'm telling you a story.
right, I know, but
I would want to know if somebody was telling it about me.
I just need to understand something, because I mean, I'm a I lived here my whole life. I know Dorset Avenue, I know all the homes, you know, the beach, the boardwalk. I remember when the boardwalk, when as a kid, we would go under the boardwalk to get shade. So, and I have to ask it only because there's a history here. So, and with all due respect to the people in St. Leonard's tract, but you know, we, the commission, have to be very objective and subjective on what we're doing. And it's obvious that there's a division. You know, I don't think a resident's name should be mentioned at this meeting. When I said to the one gentleman, when someone buys a property, that's their property. Now, we're not saying they can build a hotel, but we're going to do what we feel is right, as Lance said, as a planner, zoning, ratables, all that taken into consideration. But I have to be honest with you.
Make sure you take aesthetics into consideration.
And yes, but I'm going to be honest with you. It is just so obvious that the association and the people that live in that area, it's just, you know, a variance would probably never go through. Right or wrong, there were two beautiful homes, but you know, times change. Times change, things change. If some, you know, I mean, it's sad, but I had residents come to me that they didn't like what was going on their block, but someone owned the home and she was renting it out, and that was allowed under city ordinance. And I met with the whole block, and the one person said, we have one option. We all chip in our money and we buy the home. And with all due respect, and you know, I'll be neutral. I put a lot of faith in Commissioner Landgraf because of his expertise with zoning and planning and land use. That's not my specialty, but I'm going to be very honest. When people talk and they get very excited because the sleigh house was torn down, I understand that, but it was a business transaction. The people that are against anything that goes on there, you had an opportunity, or if you didn't have the opportunity, this is the United States. Whoever bought that property had the right to tear it down, leave it up, do whatever. And you know what? I think, with all due respect, and I'll say it to everybody in St. Leonard's Tract, I think the St. Leonard's Tract people need to understand, it's not your property. It's not my property. And all the city's going to do is what we feel is right for the city, not for the owner. But I think St. Leonard's Tract people need to, it's just not nice. There's a lot of baggage there. It's like a vengeance because that sleigh house got torn down. I know, I lived here. People walked around with buttons, save the sleigh house. I don't know about you, but I'm sure the people in St. Leonard's Tract, I know enough of them that are very strong individuals, men and women. And I can't imagine how they would feel if they bought a property and wanted to do something with it, and people walked around with buttons to save the property that they just bought with their money. It's America. That house was bought, the person owns it. All we're going to do is make sure that we do what's right for the city and what's fair. Not in the best interest for one homeowner or one property owner, and we're sure as hell not going to do what's in the best interest to appease everybody in St. Leonard's Tract. We're going to do what's right by the letter of the law, and I'm going to close it now. Anyone else like to get up and speak? What's up?
This is on a different ordinance.
One that we're going to vote on tonight? What, it's,
Yes,
okay.
we're going to be voting on tonight. To be exact, it's
I'm so glad it's a different ordinance.
2018-025. It's the ad hoc committee.
Okay, you want to be on it?
Well, first of all, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
First of all, we think the St. Leonard's Track Association thinks it's a great idea. And having a regular line of communication between the city and the citizens is terrific. And yes, we will submit one of our members, an application for one of our members to be on it.
Okay.
But we really wanted to thank you for coming up with the idea and implementing it.
And while you're up here, little history. Maybe that's why I'm so passionate about St. Leonard's Track. The first homes built in Ventnor.
Close that portion of it.
Sorry, correct? The first homes built here, am I correct? St. Leonard's Track?
1921.
Yeah. By a man by the last name of Katz.
Right.
It's my uncle's grandfather who owned the President Hotel. So I know about St. Leonard's Track a little bit.
We're really nice people.
I love you. Yes, you are nice people, and all I'm trying to do, because this is Beth, is set the record straight, because, you know, with all due respect, you know, when people start texting and calling and literally pound and pound and pound, and it's uncalled for. I don't have there's no place for it, and it's got to stop. We will do what we have to do. We were elected to do a job, and that is for all the people of Ventnor, not one homeowner, not one property owner, and not one group of people, for everybody in Ventnor. And you have to respect that, hopefully. If you don't, oh well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Christian.
Hello, Chris Brees, 5309 Ventnor Avenue. Quick question on the 2018-022 with regards to the fees for programs and activities. The fees that are listed on there all seem to be for, you know, like larger programs or specific activities, with the exception of the tennis rentals and pickleball passes. Does that mean that folks will not be able to just do like walk-on games or anything? They will need to pre-schedule those before they can go play a game of tennis? I wasn't clear on what those specific
weekly
rentals
pass
were.
and the seasonal pass.
Yeah, or the hourly rental for the tennis courts.
Right, so I can speak to the pickleball. The nature of the game is that people rotate in, so rather than have a single fee, they are, the players of that game feel, it's modeled after other communities that do it this way, so that they can rotate in week by week, and that's how that income is created for the city. What was the other question? The lessons?
No, the rentals. It's a 1 hour court rental. So for tennis courts, does that mean that somebody will not be able to go to the tennis court just on a whim and?
Not if it's rented.
Yeah, during the summer, I think it's very standard throughout communities that if you want to use tennis courts, you schedule a time and you pay for that use.
Yeah, so this is they have a sign-up sheet, and they have to do it in person.
Okay.
When the group is there, yeah.
No, that's totally fine. I just wanted to get some clarification on that. You mentioned during the summer, but this appears to be for all year, with the exception of the December to March 1st for maintenance.
I would let Tim answer that, but I don't think we're going to have anyone out there in November.
It's only during, we open it up.
Marshalling who's on or not on the court.
No, okay, great. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? You have to come up to the front, you have to state your name and address, and you can ask anything you like, as long as it pertains to what we're going to vote on tonight. If it's, okay, then we have another part.
We have another part at the end.
Oh, righty? That's
A little bit.
a little bit. Anybody else from the public like to speak on anything we're going to vote on tonight? Are you taking your thank you back?
No, I'm going to reiterate it.
Are you
No,
going
I
to
just-
take your thank you back?
You know, I would like to be advised, call me or text me or email me if meetings are going to be, because I'm not here.
Okay.
I won't be here necessarily, so I would want.
If you want, send me an email so we have your email address.
Okay.
It's bholtzman@ventnorcity.org. Then we'll have your email, okay?
And look at ventnorcity.org, and if you look on the planning board, you can also see that. It's there, put it on the calendar.
Thought you were taking your thank yous back.
No, never.
Anyone else like to speak on anything that we're going to vote on tonight? No? Okay.
Motion to close?
Do I have a second?
Second motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
So our next part of our meeting is our discussion items. You need to all stay for them. I'm teasing you. Now, there's some interesting things. The first one says, oh, this is yours, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, beach lease areas.
Yes. So the idea was brought to my attention of creating areas on the beach, most likely in front of the high rises.
Right.
Where we would start to try it out of a beach lease. Atlantic City does it, they lease it out to various vendors for different things. What we would look to do is create cabanas.
Right.
Little covered areas, 10 by 10 or whatever we decide, that we could lease out to a vendor, and they would rent them to people that want to rent them for the day.
For the day.
Right.
Or for the season. They can do it for a season if they would like to.
Well, Cape May does it for the day in front of one of the hotels there on the
Right.
beach, and they allow, and then if you go there after 3 o'clock, it's less, or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
So, and they have, they're lean-to structures with canvas tops. They're like
Right.
four posts and a joist, and then.
Is
Yeah.
it the cities,
Very
or
simple.
is it a company that does it?
What I would suggest, we would just create the beach lease and then put it out to bid for vendors.
For someone to do.
For someone to do it, so that takes us out of having to worry about designing, building, maintaining.
Right.
Exactly.
We see my
Yeah.
public works spends enough money
Yeah.
on things, so it was an idea that came up, it's something.
All right, let me look into that.
Okay.
That may be starting now for next summer.
Yeah.
It would have to be next
But,
summer.
but I will look into that because I think there's some state problems with it as far as the DEP, but I could be wrong.
Right.
Hopefully
I know Atlantic City does it.
Yeah.
They have it for not just their beach bars, but they also do it in front of the Ocean Club. They lease out and they're gonna set up, they don't do it for cabanas, but they can rent umbrellas and chairs and things of that nature. So,
Right. I will
I
talk
can-
to the solicitor in Atlantic City
Yeah.
and see.
Good.
Yeah.
And it would be at the toe of the dune, right? It would be at the bottom.
Yeah, it would start at the toe of the dune and move towards the ocean in a limited space. It wouldn't be
Right.
the whole way up, it would be, 50 feet or,
Yeah.
we'd have to measure it.
In Cape May, they have them in a line right at
Yep,
the
that's
top.
where they would be.
Right.
They'd be all set in a set space, and they had to show us a plan, actually come in and what,
It'll be a long process, so it would be, yeah, definitely next
well,
year.
that part of it, yeah, because you have to bid it and that kind of stuff.
I
So
think it's a nice feature, and
it'd be nice, and we can experiment on 2 or 3 of the spots and see how it goes.
Go
And if
from
it
there.
goes well, I don't see it happening down where the residences are.
No.
I don't see
Oh,
it
I don't
happening.
think so either.
Single families.
Yeah.
I just don't
I don't see it either.
Maybe the Oxford and 5500 and Vassar Square,
Right,
those places
right.
might be interested
St.
in
Leonard's
something like
Drive.
that. I'm sorry?
What's St. Leonard's
Leonard's
Drive?
I was just gonna say.
No.
Oh,
No, I wouldn't do that.
But, no, it was a really nice feature at Cape May, and.
I
and
think
was-
it's worth-
It brings one, we were looking for reasons for people to come to Ventnor, and
Yeah.
it's a
Mm-hmm. Makes
unique
it a little
feature.
quaint.
It does.
I like
does.
it.
And we would certainly set up parameters around it, and I'll send you a copy of what Atlantic City does.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, next is the school capital list. Why is that on here? We didn't,
No,
we discussed that, didn't we?
We discussed it, but you will be, just so you know, you reviewed the list and you will be doing a bond ordinance
Right,
probably
right.
the next meeting.
Okay.
First reading.
I think
Yeah.
we're good with that, right?
Yep.
Okay. Next is Airbnb. Oh, who put this on?
Me.
Okay, good. Where are we at with it?
Okay, I think at almost a similar time, Maria found an ordinance, or saw something out in San Francisco when you're out there, that area, and then I Googled it and found some regulations out there from California that set up an ordinance that requires registration, rental, maybe not, well, fees, yes, there would be fees associated with it, at least an annual inspection, and a contact person when we have issues.
Is there a fee to the city?
Yeah,
No?
absolutely. So I talked to Jimmy Agnesino about it. He thought it was, sent both Tim a copy of the ordinance, and it's just theirs. It's not,
Right.
it's not in our format yet. But I did reach out at Tim's suggestion to talk to at least one real estate agent. I did that last night. I'm going to reach out to a couple more to see what their thoughts are. Dan Smith is the one I spoke to last night because he was on the planning board. Had some ideas to add to it to make it work more with what we want. I don't have a problem with Airbnbs as long as they're operated correctly without negative impact to their neighbors, which we've had some experiences with.
Just a little bit, yeah.
So it's something that we need to look into and find a way to regulate it, make sure it's done well.
And neighbors don't get affected.
There are
I think you're right.
B&Bs that operate all through the city that we don't even hear about.
Exactly, I know, you're right.
Because they operate fine.
Right.
They have good operators, they care about it themselves.
Right.
And actually, I learned something from Dan last night, is that, and it was the one that his friend operates, she cleans it herself, she manages it herself, she does all that. She had a couple guys rent it, and 12 guys showed up, and they wrecked the place. So she calls up Airbnb, those renters get a rating of negative, they get billed for the cleaning. So Airbnb does some of this stuff, so we have to tie down some of these landlords that are doing this and make sure they're upfront.
Yeah.
The other thing that you have to think of is whatever regulations you put in place, they have to be regulations that are applicable uniformly.
Right.
And by that, I mean, you can't say, hey, Airbnb properties, if you rent for a week, you must do this, this, and this, and oh, you other properties that rent for a week, don't worry about it, you don't have to.
How it's set up is it doesn't name Airbnb. What it does, it says if you don't live in your home for this many days a year and you rent it out,
right,
then you qualify to have to follow this ordinance.
Perfect.
That's how it's set. That's what I
And
like
that's
about
perfect.
it. Because it was across the board. It wasn't something that's singled out. Because there's other ones.
There's people that rent it out for
there's
1 month in the summer.
Rent by owner, RBO, I think it's called, or something like that.
Right.
RBBO,
Right.
rental vacation by owner.
Right.
And I know people that use that. I'm using it in Ireland. So
I'll be using it for the first time.
Yeah.
And
so it'll be an experience for me.
Maybe if I ever get a
if I don't give it
vacation.
negative.
Yeah,
One thing to consider-
I think that's good that we.
One of the things to consider is, we discussed this a little bit, was somehow bringing the police department into code enforcement. And in this way, this is one way that during the weekends, it could be just a matter of hours. But I do know that Margate has brought code enforcement into the police department. They only have the one person, but they felt like I think they were more concerned about parking or
noise,
noise and those kinds of issues.
Right.
I'm just saying we should keep the door open for that.
Absolutely.
And I know Chief is open to that because it ultimately becomes a disconnect somehow.
Yes.
And if there could be someone with a little bit more experience in enforcement coming into those.
Well, the stuff they would be looking at is almost stuff they look at every day anyway.
Right.
So look, the best zoning officers are retired cops.
Right.
Because they look at things in a critical eye.
Right.
Here's
Chances
the
are
law.
other things are out
So
of square.
if we can give these guys like a little refresher course on zoning 101 and property maintenance 101, I think that's something, at worst, they can take a picture of it, get it to us, and then we can write the violation. Or you give them the forms. It's an easy form to fill out.
Right.
The code violation would come from code office, but these guys are making us aware of it, and I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
The trash cans are an issue because sometimes they're left out on a Sunday night when they don't get picked up till Tuesday.
Right.
So they had cards. They would.
They can't put them in.
You're right.
And it could be something that's just
You're
a
right.
seasonal and an evening thing that the police force.
I think
does.
that's all the time.
Right.
Anytime.
Oh, that's true.
I would not put a limitation on it.
No,
I would
you're
say
right.
anytime we have we're a small police force. These guys know the city.
Sure.
They drive it more than anybody else.
That's right.
They can see a problem occurring quicker than anybody else.
Right.
So I think that would be an asset to our code enforcement office and as well as our city to get these guys trained up a little bit on it.
Yeah.
And Jimmy could certainly hold a little course on it.
So we'll revisit that after you've spoken with more realtors?
Yes, so
Okay.
to go back to Airbnb, yes. Yeah.
All right.
I do want to reach out to a couple more people.
Okay. Sounds good. Our next item is special events waiver.
Okay, so we pulled this from the agenda because we need to take maybe a deeper look at it and look at a few other things. I guess we're going to keep amending these special events until we get it right, because there's always something that comes up. But
What was the waiver
The
part?
waiver part would essentially allow, the way it was written, would allow a commissioner or mayor, but you're a commissioner, to waive fees. That's it. So Tim and I have spoken.
I do not recommend that.
I don't want to do that.
No.
That's what we discussed.
If you have an ordinance and you establish fees.
That's it.
The only way those fees should be waived is if it comes before this entire commission and there's unanimous vote.
Right.
And even then, I would urge you to only do that if it's some type of special charitable organization or something like that.
Sure.
Tim, what we talked
I don't know
about.
who wrote that.
Okay, but what we talked about today, Tim and I met, and Doug and Donna, was, is there a way to define this very narrowly, a certain type of situation that would allow the fee to be waived?
Church?
No,
Nonprofit?
no.
Well, for example, an educational seminar, maybe having to do it for medical purposes.
You could, but why would you?
I wouldn't
In other
do
words,
it.
bring it before the commission.
I'd rather come here.
Bring it before the commission and let this
Case by
go.
case basis.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't go nonprofit, because we have, most of our events, people that have the runs and the walks, they're all nonprofit.
So after we dug into this a
We
little
didn't
bit,
do nonprofit. It was more narrow than that.
it was clear that in the 30-some events that we're having, there was only one or two instances where this came up, and I think that you're absolutely, I think where we're headed on this is that it should, if someone makes that request, it should come to the commission for the three of us, and in general, that if it was a
We kind of wanted to
public service, and it was,
to define it in a way where it doesn't come to you unless it meets a certain,
right, so we were trying to create a screen in a way to say, if
Requirements.
Don't, there's no reason to ask unless it's providing a public service.
right.
Or it's,
There were some concerns about, though we meet every 2 weeks, so that shouldn't be a
Yeah.
concern. It was a concern, but you meet every 2 weeks, so
and
it
then,
really shouldn't be.
if one of the commissioners has a connection to the event in some way, that they would have to abstain.
What were the two examples? I can't remember when we were defining, like if it was a seminar of some sort for a medical reason, or like there's this group that wants to do a skin check or something?
Yeah, there's a cancer screening that has in the past been given dispensation, and I think they lost they lost some of their funding.
Mm-hmm.
So they were looking to get a waiver.
I don't even think that's a good idea, because, number one, when you have a true charitable organization, it's very obvious that they're a true, good charitable organization.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a definition in, my experience is those definitions become expansive rather than constrictive. And by that I mean, if you put it in there, then everyone will amend their application to try to meet the definition, and then come before you and say, oh, we meet the definition, why wouldn't you give that to us?
Right.
I just think the request should be made by the applicant and handled on a case-by-case
Sits on its
basis.
own merits. Each one sits on its own merits.
So don't make it part of the ordinance at all.
Right.
Correct.
Not even as simple as
No.
a waiver
It
can
should
be
be a one
granted
person-
by
and it should be a one
a
person.
commission vote.
I think
Not
we
even
have-
that.
Well, you
I
set
do
up a
that.
procedure.
Yeah.
Set up a procedure. You can request a waiver from the commissioners if you.
Right, but
governing
I
body.
think what Tim's saying, don't even put that in an ordinance.
No, we have an ordinance with a fee schedule. If somebody says, I can't pay the fee,
Then it's a no.
what can I do? Then that person could be advised, then you have to go to a commission meeting and speak to the commissioner.
Exactly. Make a
Just leave it
request
like
to
that. You don't need a form and a formal waiver, because once you do that, now you put the seed
Right.
in someone's head to ask for a waiver and start a snowball effect.
Right, and I
So-
think that's what
The
we're,
ancestors were getting
I'm sorry.
Seed in the head.
We ended up with that our fees are not onerous compared, and we're gonna look into that, we're gonna confirm that they're not onerous compared to other cities, and that in the scheme of things, we were one.
So you can get anybody that will come
One
before
out of
you,
30
and
is
it's gonna
not
be,
bad.
They can come, when the person goes for the application, here's our fee schedule. They come back to somebody and say, I can't afford it, we don't, whatever their story is, you say, well, I'm sorry, this is our ordinance.
But
you can always go and speak to the commissioners as a governing body at a commission meeting. Done. And move on.
I agree.
Done.
And there should be, and look, I get requests at CRDA every day for money.
Right.
And you can write a request in, you can fill an application, but my answer to them is, I'm telling you the answer is going to be no. That should be the gatekeeper telling them that. Look, you
Right.
can ask for this,
Right.
unless your situation is really extenuating, it's gonna be no. We treat everybody the same.
Right.
Who's ever receiving that request should tell them that.
right.
Unless you have an extenuating circumstance, don't even ask, because the answer is gonna be no.
Right.
And I think that's what we were trying to do, is vet it for you, so it
do
eliminates
that
who's
without
coming
having-
here.
We don't need an
Form.
ordinance,
You
yeah.
don't-
I think when you start getting formal, you formalize something that doesn't exist, no. Am I
Although-
right, Tim?
Yeah, I agree
It doesn't-
1,000%. Although, Tim, one of the things that came out of the email exchange that I saw is I do think someone, probably Donna, should prepare a checklist for people holding special events, that when they walk in the door, here's your, whatever, 25-point checklist. This is what
We
you
have
have to
that.
do.
We do have that.
You have that, they
Yeah.
have it.
It's a pretty extensive application.
We do have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
The application is 10 pages in that neighborhood, that it goes into details that are almost too, almost too detailed, but there is a checklist that shows
Everything that's
insurance.
needed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, all right,
We learned
that's
that
fine.
from,
Everything
yeah.
that's needed, the checks, a separate check fire,
Got it.
it's
And
all
the-
spelled out.
And the
Okay.
committee needs that too, because there's just too much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, what's our next one? Parking meters. Oh, here. Parking meters, you got it? Parking meters, I don't know who put this, who's this? You?
I think it's me again. So, we changed the parking meters throughout the city last summer to go from 8 AM to 8 PM. In the past, they stopped at 6 PM. And I think the goal there was to maintain that, at least in my mind, was to maintain that in the commercial districts, because that's mainly where the parking meters are. We do have 2 or 3 other locations that, maybe 4 or 5 other locations, that they're not in commercial districts. What I'm talking about here is our Newport Avenue and Suffolk Avenue. There's a lot of residents that live on those 2 streets that understand that there's parking meters there. And in the past, they've been able to, after 6 PM, park a car in front of their home in that metered space. Those angled spaces that are there. I've gotten more than a few complaints
I got an
that,
email today.
yeah, about that change to 8 PM. It's causing some real hardship on those homeowners in the beach block. We have started, I guess, enforcing that 6 to 8 PM, the extension, and they got tickets. Everybody got tickets. So I would like to see us discuss backing that off on those beach block parking areas. And I would say it's the 2 streets I mentioned,
That's where the
Victoria,
kiosks are.
Victoria,
basically,
I
right?
think Weymouth and
and
Little Rock.
Marsden.
Little Rock.
Little Rock too. So those areas, I think, and we even talked about Victoria, about maybe not even having them there. That I haven't looked at as much. I did drive by
Or
there
we-
and see what you're talking
Or
about.
or that one building we talked
Yeah.
about, a pass.
So, I just wanted to throw it out to you guys. I think those, especially those 2 streets, Newport and Suffolk, those homes have no other place to park. You know, some have off-street, but not all of them.
Right. They're big homes, so they have a lot of adult children, a lot of cars.
Exactly. So, that I'm thinking that we might want to talk about backing that off, and just wanted to hear you guys, your thoughts on it.
I was under the impression they all had off-street parking. Saying that not all.
No, even if they do, I just sidebar, I said they're big homes and a lot of them have been here for a long time. If they have 5 children, they're now all adults.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cars, is what I'm saying.
That's throughout the city, though.
True. If you live in the
That's not-
Heights where I'm at, it doesn't matter.
But they can't,
Atlantic Avenue's open, right? They don't have meters.
No, yes, there is. There's meters.
And then
in
there's
the front, the whole front of the tennis courts.
Oh, that.
And there's meters
yeah.
in the library.
On one side.
And 8 to 8 was done to make it consistent throughout the city, right? The
Yes.
the rest of the business areas are 8 to 8.
8 to 8.
So the thought was-
Except the municipal lot
except
is
the
24
municipal lot.
hours.
So now we created an ordinance that keeps it all the same for everywhere in the city, except the municipal lot, which is 24 hour.
I think it's, that going to 8 PM is too far. The idea of the parking meters in the beach block was to, turn people over going to the beach there. Nobody's going to the beach 8 o'clock at night. This is also, we have to remember, this is also a residential area.
Right.
That people live there. They need these parking spaces. It's just something I think went beyond what my thoughts were of that ordinance last year. And it was done properly. There was, why didn't you do this? You didn't tell anybody. Yeah, 2 public hearings. It was done the right way.
We talked to Doug a little bit about it today, and he said one of the reasons it was done was to stop people from just parking there all day and not having the space available later.
Correct.
For the homeowners.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but if you leave it till 8 o'clock, then they gotta go move their car to that spot from wherever else they had to park. So-
Now, the street I was telling you about, Victoria, as you saw, is a problem for that one building, maybe 2 buildings, but one's owned and one's rentals. And I think, back in the day, meters were put on those blocks because it is surrounding a business area.
Right.
Little
To
Rock,
keep
yes.
the turnover.
Yeah.
The idea with the meters is
Yeah.
to help keep the turnover. a little
Yeah,
bit.
and you
business districts till
also,
8 o'clock, that's-
Right.
and the other thing, what happens is
It is.
that employees take the spots and the customers can't
Right.
get them.
Exactly.
So some of those businesses ask for those meters.
Right.
And they can't
They keep
get them
asking.
quick enough.
Yeah.
That's true.
So that's a
I
little
agree with-
different than
I agree with it
Suffolk and,
downtown. I
yeah.
agree with it downtown.
You're saying to have 2 different
Business.
times.
Right.
Yeah.
You-
And it's easy now because we got electronic meters. You can set them to turn off.
Right.
You guys know the kiosk at the tennis courts doesn't take change?
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, the areas that Lance is talking about, or it's the only 2 areas we have a kiosk.
Only 2 kiosks.
Just 2 kiosks. Everything else is meters.
Yeah, but they take change.
No,
It doesn't?
not for me.
Those slugs
I
just
count
don't
the
cut
water,
it.
so I know.
Because when I put the money in, it says, bills only.
Huh.
And I actually had quarters and tried to, and the slot was closed. You
Which
couldn't
one,
get it.
Tim?
At the tennis court, where's
Suffolk.
Dan Briscoe live?
Suffolk,
Suffolk.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So you did you get a ticket?
No, I parked on Atlantic Avenue.
Did you get a ticket?
I know.
We did last year, we have.
Could you, please?
We'll have a time to speak on these issues when we get all through our discussions.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to maybe give you some more information about that particular discussion, just to keep it
It's up to the
rolling,
mayor.
if you're okay.
That's
with
okay,
that.
yeah, come on up. I think you had to sit here painfully long
Yeah,
enough, didn't you?
My head is killing me.
How do you think we feel?
I know, I don't know how you do it all the time. My name is Faya Shapiro. I live at 109 South Victoria Avenue.
You emailed me.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, today, right before I came here, I rode up and down all the streets from Jackson, just beach block. So the building I'm talking about is 109. It's the 4-unit condo building, owner occupied.
Victoria?
On Victoria. And I figured out how much it would be for us to pay for parking 24/7 for a year. It would come out to $6,550 if we had to pay for parking, which is kind of an added tax. And it's a real hardship in our situation because the building's been there since 1930. There is absolutely no room to put off-street parking. The building has no off-street parking whatsoever, and we are, I think, the only building in Ventnor on Beach Block that has no off-street parking, like not even a place to put the car.
No, there's one, at least one other that I know of on Cambridge and Marsden.
Cambridge is
Yeah.
like 5
Yeah.
spots.
It looks like it has spots, but it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my issue is, it's a hardship. And I know a lot of this kind of happened years ago when, I think the city and its vision was to make that whole area less dense, and people come in for variances and make it more dense. And it's still, I think, that way.
The parking, yeah. I now I see what you mean. I understand the relationship to parking and density, but now I do.
Okay,
Creates more cars.
so, yeah, and, in our street, although I think partially it's, listed as commercial, that was when the 5300 and I forgot what it's called, I call it the Bahamas in the ocean here.
The Monica Hotel?
Yeah.
The Monica.
No, when the 5300 used to be the Ocean Air, and Breakers used to be the Bahamas. It was a hotel motel. And
Right, so that zone's commercial now.
no, now that's all
Right, but it was
condo.
commercial over the years.
But back in the day, like 100 years ago, it was all
Right.
commercial.
Commercial.
So the reason, and Commissioner Kriebel brought it up, the reason we tried to put meters down some of these side streets was the employees from the commercial uses, the businesses,
Right.
were parking down there and taking all the spaces up.
I agree.
So we tried to stop that practice by adding.
But they're not new. They were there.
These meters
before.
have been there?
Well,
The
they didn't work.
meters,
They
the
didn't work.
meters were
They
there. I
were
actually
off
have
the
a
poles.
photograph back from 1982. The meters have always been there, but they were always broken.
So you had free parking.
So we had, no, for a little while we had
For
to
a
pay
picture
for
of you
parking.
there with a bat with one of them?
No, but there would always be like a spotter who would say, oh, meter guy's coming, go stick a, nickel in or whatever it is. But now it's not gonna be possible to do that.
Because they
So-
work. Because now they work.
Well, now they work.
Right.
Well, you can go by phone now.
Yeah, right. No,
Not yet.
but the issue is,
There's no parking.
there's no parking, and if we do park, and we are the ones who have to park now on other people's streets.
Right.
There are 4 units.
And
The units
that's-
on the whole
You're
street.
you're
I don't know.
Victoria?
I think it's more
Yeah.
than 4.
You're Victoria.
I'm Victoria. No, I'm not Victoria,
No.
I'm Maya Shapiro, but,
Yeah, I know. I thought you. Did you emailed me, didn't you?
yeah, I talked to, Maria.
Oh, so you didn't email. I got another email today on parking. I'm sorry.
Anyway,
Just do passes.
I don't know.
We have permits, and then we have, I gotta get it from Patty. She was explaining something to me in an email today about passes and permits.
It's the
and
same thing.
placards, and there were 2 different things she was telling me.
But it still gives
I
them
gotta find out what it is.
All right.
Okay.
We're gonna look into it again. It's not
Okay.
something that is, we're not set with how it's functioning right now. I'm not set with how it's functioning right now.
Okay,
So I can't speak for the mayor and Commissioner Kriebel, but I don't like how this is panning out.
okay.
So we're gonna look into it.
And you spoke with Maria?
I'm Maria.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate
Yeah,
you mentioning Victoria, because that's,
It'll be Victoria
That's my
and
street.
and the 2 beach block.
We got
And the
Wayne
2
and
beach.
Little Rock. I don't know if they're the same.
Right.
They're a little different.
Let's
But
take a little look
Little
at
Rock
it.
is a little bit different. That's the one that the Monaco is on
Yeah.
one side, or not the Monaco,
And nobody's
whatever
called
they're
it.
called now, the Waves.
Right.
So, but they all have
Garages.
garages and a space for 2 cars,
Right.
technically.
And you have 2 units, because you have family. in
Yeah,
there, right?
my mother lives in the unit next to me, so.
And then there's 2 other units.
And
but
2 other
have-
units.
Is there anybody around that, I was just curious, has
Um,
anybody complaining from the other 2 units?
So it's allowed.
Did you talk to the chief about this? In other words, are you saying that you want to implement that?
No,
Or
I'm-
you saying they're starting to pop up and you want to
No,
do
no, no.
something about it?
Somebody called the mayor.
The business owner asked me, wouldn't it be a good idea if we could use golf carts to deliver food, especially in the summer, of course, not in the winter. So I'm like, well, that sounds like a good idea, but I don't know. And then finding out that the state allows it, well, like Lance said, do we have jurisdiction to say no? do we have to pass an ordinance to allow it in Ventnor? I'm throwing it out there.
Well, the beach buggy's been doing it for 5 years.
Yeah, I don't think we have a jurisdiction to do
So-
it.
so, I mean,
If a business wants to buy an electric vehicle and deliver a pizza.
They can do it.
In other words, if
As long
there's
as it's legal.
state law that makes them street legal, if they do certain things, then we can't
Gotcha.
interfere with that.
So they just have to follow the law to make it street legal. and-
Low-speed vehicles.
Yeah.
Right, and you get honked at a lot when you're on Winchester Avenue and they're going at a low speed.
Okay,
And
I got you.
it's a
Okay.
great idea
It's
until the
not-
first accident.
And
Yeah.
Lisa made a good
Right.
point, you cannot call it a golf cart.
Yeah.
The reason, it's very distinct, it's called a low-speed vehicle because it has headlights,
Right.
taillights, turn signals, it's licensed by the DMV.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we have a
not a
golf
golf.
cart, but we can't register it.
right,
Right.
Okay.
so
Okay.
it's,
So it's nothing we have to do as long as it's within,
they should
The
research
state
it and we
regs,
should talk to the chief about it because he should be aware that someone wants to start doing that
Gotcha.
in more than just one person.
Right, and it should make the distinction that, no, you can't use a golf cart.
right. I think maybe he meant
I understand.
this,
It's
but.
semantics.
Yeah.
And actually, a gentleman who just built a home on the bay asked me about it, and I'd love to just buzz around or something like that. It'd be
Yeah.
easier, it's, you know,
There's a guy in Longport who has a house on the beach and the bay, and he uses it to get to and from.
nice.
Must be nice, yeah.
Nice.
Beach in the bay, yes.
So,
Beach in the bay.
It's got more than two.
So a couple things,
Okay.
just to touch base, I'll hit the easy one first. Probably next Friday, I'm gonna meet with City Engineer Ed Stinson, with a group from the Pinelands Preservation Alliance. Why they're on the Barrier Islands, I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure, but they have a program, they got a grant to do a study of what they're calling beach or dune buffer plantings. So the toe of the dune as it comes up off the beach, if you can, it's been shown that if you can get that area to vegetate, it'll protect the face of the dune better than the sand fencing that the Army Corps puts in. So we've already implemented some things that will help that area on its own grow a little bit. If you notice where the new trash enclosures are on the beach, they're all lined up in one particular
Right.
spot. That's about 20 feet off the toe of the dune. We're not raking there anymore, behind them.
You mentioned that, yeah.
So
Yes.
what that'll do is that'll allow some natural growth of vegetation there. The Pinelands Preservation Alliance wants to do 2 test areas. We're gonna propose those north of the pier, because it's a bigger beach there. And they will come in and they will put some, not necessarily dune grass, but some other types of plantings and some signage, just a stake, I wanna see the stake before
Yeah,
it goes in, and a little sign that says, this is a test area, yada, yada, yada.
that'll
So-
answer questions before they're raised. Good idea.
There's also, and I was a little hesitant, and I know Tim's gonna probably say this, because I think I heard you saying it before to Ed. The concern of, once that area gets vegetated, does it become, part of the dune? Does it become restricted by DEP? Apparently, there's some laws coming into effect from the Environmental Protection Agency that are gonna require towns to do this. And if you don't do it, you're gonna have some restrictions. So we're being a little preemptive here to add it. Maria, you were in a couple of these meetings with Ed and Jessica from PPA, I think, right?
Yep.
So they're gonna come down, they're gonna do a little test area and see what it's like. And if we can show the DEP when they start implementing this stuff, and we've already been doing it for a while, we're gonna be ahead of the game. So it doesn't restrict anybody's access, it won't stop the walkovers and the beach access anywhere. It'll only be where the dunes are, so the walkways will still be open. And like I said, we've already stopped raking behind that trash line, I'll call it. The reason we're gonna try and do it at the north end is our beaches are already kind of small south of the pier.
Right.
It gets kind of narrow down by the library, and we're hoping that'll reaccumulate this summer. We lose it in the winter, we gain it back in the summer.
But the benefit is to protect the dune.
Yes.
That's to protect the maintenance.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
So it makes it a stronger barrier.
Stronger, more
Resilient.
stable and resilient structure, so.
It's not Bayberry, is it?
No.
Thank
Why?
you. Thank you.
Why?
Bayberry bushes? Because they
overtake
they
them.
eventually
Yeah,
grow
yeah.
so large that they block the views
Yes.
of oceanfront homeowners.
South end of Brigantine.
Sounds like you've had a Bayberry affair.
South end of
Situation.
Brigantine. There's a forest there now. They're
Really?
literally 20 feet tall. Wow. Yeah, they grow like weeds. The last thing is, we've had a lot more interest after our first liquor license was sold. So I think I want to go back to that same practice, the same way we did the first one, and just have the bidders come in and then leave it that same way. Still keep the minimum bid as you guys wanted at 77.1, which I think should be a little bit higher, but I'm okay with 77.1.
How about 77.2?
No, just keep it at 1, we're not gonna, but I think just because there's more renewed interest, you know, it generated a lot of phone calls and things to me. I don't know if you guys got them, I hope. You know, just interest in, you know, when's the next one going out?
Right.
You know,
More money for the city, more revenue.
well, I'm not as worried about that, but, well, I'm sure I am, but I want to make sure that we get them out there and we get good operators. That's why I wanted to do it the other way.
Right.
But I think it's better to do it the way we did the first one, just because of the interest, so that's where I want to go.
Sounds good.
So, no historical method, strictly
Strictly the standard method.
the,
Bid.
what's it called?
Bid process.
Something, the sale option.
Sale option, that's what we want to do.
Okay. Lisa, you can do those dates and all
We'll get them set up soon, because we do want to get it back out there again.
that? All right.
So,
I mean, the goal is to get the best operator we can.
Yep.
And it's not really a.
Well, you know what, in a way, you've done that, because if someone's gonna pay 77.1 or above, they're probably gonna be a fairly decent operator.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
That's the goal.
So I'll put together dates to bring to you to the next meeting, and then if your agreement, we'll do a resolution at the first of the July meeting?
I won't be here that meeting, so I'd rather if we did it. Let's chat and see where the dates fall.
Okay.
Okay. We good?
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm sorry to add stuff last
That's okay, that's all right. Okay, now I know you all will not like me, but before we get into the meeting part, I do have to take a break.
You're no longer allowed to have more
I
than days.
can't, I'm sorry.
Motion to adjourn for 5 minutes?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I can't help